And streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Amerks Crunch.
Game 5 back at Blue Cross Arena.
Attention staff, a memo has been sent to all teams.
Here's a memo.
The schedule will release May 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network.
Maybe the NFL and Netflix are going to come together to host one or two of these Christmas Day games.
Mike Danger.
So what are we talking about, Gino?
Gene Battaglia.
Let's talk radios.
New York Knicks win 130 to 121.
Are they actually a great team, or are they just the beneficiary of some really big calls?
Somebody is asking, are the Knicks a great team? The question is, are they being gifted this series by the officials? Now that's the question.
What do you say?
The Indiana Pacers have submitted 78 plays that they felt went against them incorrectly during games 1 and 2.
78?
$1 million.
Why not $1 million?
The Florida Panthers. The Canucks rally back for the 5-4 victory.
Ronald firing of Sheldon Keefe.
We're going to name a hockey team. There's a newish kind of one going to Utah.
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
A very good afternoon to you as we welcome you on in to Rochester's only local sports talk show. You found the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. We appreciate you stopping by at 95.7 FM. AM 950 or the free to download Odyssey app. You can also hear us where we sound our best on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. And we're looking our best today on our video stream. You can watch the Sports Bar, the Fan Rochester channel on YouTube, also streaming at twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester. I'm Mike Danger. That's Gene Battaglia.
Good afternoon, Danger. I had people reaching out to me yesterday like, hey, everything okay? Yep, everything was fine. Everything was fine.
It was an amazing day for you, I would imagine.
It was, and it hit me like I didn't think it could hit me. Actually, I thought it was going to hit the executive producer. It hit me. Yesterday was my son's senior day, and wouldn't you know it, just as they're getting ready at 4 o'clock, the rains kind of come through. So we did this in the gymnasium instead of out on the field. But if you are a parent of young ones playing sports, you're going to hear people tell you this, and I'm just going to add to it. It goes by in the blink of the eye, because I'm sitting there and I'm watching all these events, and I'm thinking not about the events, but I'm thinking about all the work we put in. I think about how taking my son to skate and shoot, or we are going to go get some extra work on the mound. Let's get up early on a Sunday morning. We'll take the tarp off the field and we'll get some work in. Or, hey, most recently, he's running outdoor track, and we had a warm night in the month of March. Hey, Dad, let's go over and run at the track. You bet. Let's go over there. And we're running in the dark, and that's it. No more of those.
Well, you can still do a lot of that stuff. It's just not going to be going towards his goal of being a good teammate.
I don't think we're pulling off the tarp on the mound or anything like that anymore. But it,
you're right, man. I mean, it does go by fast, and I would also add, don't take any of it for granted. I have a friend. I don't know if it's just in his nature to be angry about most things. Maybe that's just a product of his environment, but he's got a kid who plays travel soccer, and it's a constant barrage of complaining. Oh, this weekend we've got to go there. This weekend we've got to go here. This weekend a tournament here. I'm like, you understand how much fun that is, the memories that you're creating with your kid, with your family. I did it for years with my daughter when she played soccer, and I miss it, man. It was a lot of fun. And now my little one is a golfer. And so even when there's an opportunity to get on a golf course with her and just have some fun, like, I don't want any of that to end. And I know at some point it will end. So don't take it for granted. Take advantage of it while you have it, if you have little ones that are doing it. I know most of the people that are out there recognize that and love and find joy in the hustle that is, I got to take him here, I got to take him there. Oh, we're busy. We can't do anything this night. Oh, we can't do anything. I mean, you fight through it. You get it done.
It's different than how you and I grew up with youth sports. That's absolutely true. That this is now a booming industry, and well, don't be mad about it. I mean, our kids are being provided opportunities that a lot of us didn't have to go see all these places. I mean, youth hockey took my family to Ottawa, to Vermont, to all these other places that are great to visit, and just you remember those experiences.
I mean, youth hockey took me to Warroad, Minnesota, and Grafton, North Dakota. Yeah, just, the real tropical places that you want to go visit. Lots of culture. Yeah. No, it's a fantastic... That was my youth growing up. You're right. My kids are spoiled. Oh, where are we going this weekend? Oh, we've got a tournament in Cincinnati. Like, we're going to Cincinnati. That's fun. We're going to Jersey for a soccer tournament, or to Ohio, or whatever it is. Even if it's just down the thruway and you got to go to something in Buffalo. Like, enjoy that time. Your kids are only young once, and you're a part of that. And how they approach it is in large part related to how you approach it. So approach it with just unbelievable enthusiasm. Because when that is done, and when you are finished, and your kid is, accepting the awards at senior day, yeah, that hits. That hits a little hard.
Yeah. So my apologies for not being here yesterday, but I think, anybody could kind of understand, except my dad. My dad was like, wait a second. Danger can't do the show by himself.
Oh, I absolutely can.
No, you can. So, yeah.
No, I mean, Roger, I can.
Mr. Battaglia.
I'm sorry. Mr. Battaglia. He also doesn't like when I call him your old man.
Yeah,
so your old man. No, sorry. No. Mr. Battaglia, I absolutely can do the show by myself. I absolutely needed the time that I had yesterday to do other elements of my job. So I appreciate that we had a day where I could get my neck above the waterline just for a moment. What people don't realize is that when you or I aren't here, that we have to pick up the other part of the show. Like, more preparation goes into the show when it's just one of us doing the show solo. Even if you have a producer in here, or even if I have a co-host in here, as we've had in the past, it's just an added layer of preparation and work that goes into it. And I'm not really in a position right now where I could have said yesterday, yeah, I'm going to devote my day to make sure that the 3 hours of sports talk are in line with what you've come to expect from the sports bar every single afternoon.
Well, we could ask for a bigger budget, I guess, to get some help there. Can we work on that?
Yeah. I mean,
it's like we get.
If you want to make this, if they want to make this your full time or my full time job, and this is all because there are hosts down the dial, up the dial, in different markets. This is what they do.
I think we have to kind of say that this is not our full-time job.
No.
We are completely transparent. I am an account manager, okay? I think you can kind of put together, you hear my voice on commercials. Danger manages stations like 90 PXY and a group in Virginia, and they're all over the place.
I mean, call me by my title if you don't mind. I'm a regional brand manager for Odyssey.
I think Dan Leberfeld calls you Reg.
So those jobs, your job, my job, like that's at minimum half of our day, at minimum. And so we work well together because I think we both respect that we have these other responsibilities. And so when we do collaborate before we get on the air, it's a fairly seamless preparation process. Now, if one of us is out of that equation and we have to prep the show and book guests for the show and do it all, it's a full day. It's a day's worth of preparation. And that's a challenge that yesterday I was like, if all things are equal, let's let Zach Gelb take the wheel for a day. We'll come back and we'll have plenty to talk about when we come back, as we do today.
Originally, I was concerned about the date because, that's the date they're going to release the NFL schedule. Nope.
Yeah.
We're going to make you wait another week so you can banter and predict and send your wishes and everything.
I did my mock schedule for the Bills.
See, I did one too, but it was like right after the season ended, and people were like, why would you do that? I was just like, I kind of like doing it just to see how many I get right.
Yeah, I want to kind of keep score as well. The highlights that I remember, and we can, maybe this is a conversation for another afternoon, or maybe next week when we get to really get close to that blast zone.
Somebody release it to us. Somebody be a hero and leak it. Yeah. There's got to be a
way. That NFL non-disclosure agreement must be so binding that it's punishable up to and including death. Because you sign an NDA, or you sign a contract with punishable with a fine or punishable with termination from your employment, whatever it might be. Like there's always
it's the mob. We're going to come after you and your family.
Right. And I can speak openly about an instance where there wasn't a non-disclosure agreement signed, but I did something that I wasn't supposed to do. I shared something I wasn't supposed to share. This goes back to my feelings on
Schmaler Schmift,
the biggest star in the world, Taylor Swift. And because I did that, I dealt with the wrath of her team. Now, back then, she wasn't what she is now. She was on her way to being this. The NFL is obviously a multi-billion-dollar organization. They can't have any wrenches in the works. They can't have anybody throwing a wrinkle in what they're trying to accomplish. There's too much at stake. So I imagine that if you have the schedule right now and you somehow, and everything is watermarked and protected digitally, I'm sure if you were to leak that it would come back to you and it would be punishable by death.
I got another theory on this because this is also something big in Hollywood, right? Or it may be years ago, but when you had a series and the series finale, what's going to happen? They would have scriptwriters who would write 3 or 4 different scenes. And they would actually, some of these series, shoot 3 or 4 different endings just so in case something did get out, you really weren't sure what was what. So do you think the NFL might...
alternate ending.
Right. They're kind of like right now putting out bogus schedules and seeing what they could track.
I always feel like every year somebody does try to release the schedule in advance or finds out things or tries to leak things in advance. And a lot of times they're wrong. We've had that, right? We've had moments where it's been they've just been flat out wrong.
Yeah, it used to be like, hey, the blue check mark, well, what does that matter now? But like you have to look at the source. Even still, there was a report a couple years ago from a TV guy in Kansas City. Hey, the Chiefs are opening up in Houston. I'm like, wow, that's kind of an odd one for the Chiefs. And we all reported it because it was whatever the station was in Kansas City. Turns out the guy was just looking at something on Twitter, like not paying attention. Like, no, that's not for real. Right. So, yeah.
Well, I just the highlights. I did go back, and I think there are a few things that I think the schedule makers are going to like about the Buffalo Bills. And Mike North, who was on the It's Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast with our buddy Sal Capaccio, said, look, they're not going to take their foot off the gas. Josh Allen is a star. The Bills are a commodity. They attract eyeballs, so expect that you will see the Bills in prime time. And that being said, I do think that Christmas Day is when you will see the Bills hosting the Chiefs. I think that will be special. I have the Bills on Thanksgiving in Detroit taking on the Lions. So sorry, Bills beat writers, your holidays will be eaten up covering this team and away from your families. Late in the season, I think I want to say that the Christmas game was Kansas City at home, and then I want to say that a Sunday night game the following week against the Ravens. This is all assuming that, the Bills are in it, and that would be a tasty matchup that, late in the season, 2 teams in the AFC vying for positioning. I had a Thursday night game in Miami. I had a Sunday night game in Buffalo against the Niners. And yes, I did have the Bills opening their campaign on the road in Houston.
So if you put that online right now, here's my predicted schedule, and you put all the dates with somebody like Mike Danger reporting in Rochester.
I'm not doing it.
No, you can't do it.
Because that's punishable by death if the NFL were to find me and if any of it was accurate. Somebody in the NFL could look at me like, look at this. He got it all. He knows exactly what we're thinking.
Who did Mike Danger talk to?
I didn't talk to anybody. This is just speculating. It's fun. It's fun to look at the opponents. It's fun to think, how does this all play out? Where do you match up these guys, and how does it all work? When do the divisional games fall? And I have them ending the season at home with New England, the opponent, at home. Final week of the season, week 18. But we'll talk about that next week. We'll dive a little bit deeper. You'll share yours. I'll share mine. And next Wednesday, we'll get that NFL schedule. Today on the show, it's been a minute since we've had PJ Glasser on with us. He is the host of BetQL's Send It In, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider. PJ Glasser stops by the Sports Bar Insider Calls, presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. And, man, we've got action to talk about in the NBA. We've got Major League Baseball action we can talk about with PJ. I'm on a pretty good run right now with the NHL and the Stanley Cup playoffs. And went to bed last night thinking I was going to lose in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. They were down 2-0. I'm like, unit there, whatever, big deal. And they pull off the comeback last night. So we'll get PJ's takes on we'll get some winners from PJ. Let's say that coming up here in about 10, 15 minutes or so. And this one kind of fell out of nowhere, but I'm glad it did, Gino. I'm excited later this afternoon. We get to talk to a couple of very familiar names to the Western New York sports fan.
Yes, so Eric Devendorf, you remember him, Syracuse basketball, and still does a lot in Central New York. He's going to be in town. He's going to be in town actually tomorrow night at the Rochester Beer Park, and he'll explain what this is about, how he's going to be a celebrity bartender, and we'll talk to him a little bit about the Orange, but another figure that is very prominent in Central New York, the Bills fans know, Latavius Murray. You know Latavius Murray? He was once the New York State High School Athlete of the Year playing football. Latavius Murray, Syracuse, goes back there. Does he have one more run in him for the Buffalo Bills? Or is this it? Is his phone ringing? He's also going to be out there, as is John Wallace. So I guess we could add John Wallace on. We've got the two Syracuse guys coming on with us in the 4:30 range today.
Yeah, this is going to be fantastic. We'll talk a little bit more about their fundraiser that they're hosting here at the Rochester Beer Park on Averill Ave in Rochester, with all proceeds going to the ED23 Foundation, Heavenly Productions, and the Heart and Tay Train Foundation. We'll talk to Latavius Murray and Eric Devendorf coming up here right around 4:30 or so in the sports bar. You can join us anytime this afternoon at 866-4326. That's 585-866-4FAN. Also on Elon's Twitter, that's X, at the Fan Rochester, if you want to engage with us there. Gino, what exactly am I missing here in this series between the Knicks and the Pacers?
So you are Mr. Fubo TNT. Can't watch it.
I follow along on my phone, and last night I hit on Brunson's under points prop. I was like, it just felt high. Like I think it was set at like 38.5, and I know he's been spectacular, but I'm like, I'm taking the under on that. And it turns out that hit as well. But following along on my phone. And, it's you miss things. You don't know when something is a bad call or perceived as a bad call when you're just following along on your phone, as I was last night.
That's one of the storylines. And then you've heard this on the national scene here that you've seen some of these bad calls, and the one that was some of these missed calls danger in game one. You had DiVincenzo doing a full-on flop, yet the penalty goes against Indiana. It's one of many examples, okay? And game one, sure, like you could say it kind of swung. Did game two have more penalties called against Indiana? Yes. I'd also say this: the Pacers were up by 10 at the half, okay? Then what happened? I'm going to read you the quote, and I can almost guarantee that Rick Carlisle is going to get fined for this. There were 29 plays in game one, and we thought were clearly called the wrong way. I decided not to submit them because I just felt we'd get a more balanced whistle tonight. Adding, small market teams deserve an equal shot. They deserve a fair shot no matter where they are playing. Here's my take on this, because you will see basketball coaches more than any other sport. You'll see McDermott do this. You'll see any head coach jawing at the official. And really, it's not to get him over. When do you ever see a call get overturned?
Never.
You're working these officials for what is next. So what Carlisle is putting out there is just trying to whip everybody up into a frenzy. Hey, we're the small market underdog against big bad Gotham, and we need some help from the officials this game. Okay, like, Rick, we can kind of see through that, where kind of some of your moves actually in game two, taking the best defender off Jalen Brunson, thinking that, Brunson, well, he went out of the game, he can't be good. No, have you watched the Knicks this year? He's done that before, where he goes out and then he comes back in and starts lighting you up. So, no, Rick Carlisle, actually, you were also part of the problem. So, yes, I see what's happening here. I don't know if the officials are going to be like, you know what? He's right. We need to call this the other way.
Yeah, well, there's so many things to unpack there. I love that he has to evoke small market team. Like, dude, Milwaukee won the title just a few years ago. Did you forget about that? They're a pretty small market team. It shouldn't matter, and it doesn't matter. But there is, and he knows this, like a lot of people know this, there is great power to be gained by playing the victim role. He's playing this role of, well, we're the small market team and the officials are against us and the league is against us. And it's all, for me, it's all the language of losers. It really is, man. I mean, like there are, like you just mentioned, there are elements of his coaching that you could point at and be like, man, that might have cost you the game too. You know, the call might not have been your way, but you're up 10.
But what if it works? It's not the language of losers. What if, like, all of a sudden that crowd is a little more hostile in Indiana? What if he actually gets – what if he proves his point if calls start going in the other direction? That he's – first of all, he should be fined by the league. You can't – and how many plays did they submit? Come on. You've got to be kidding me. The league office has to be rolling their eyes like, really? We're going to go through all these here?
Yeah, and nothing is going to change. What's going to happen? They're going to look at it and what? Well, I guess you won game one. That would never happen.
Same reason why you see McDermott jawing at officials.
Yes, like, it's a politics move.
That's all this is.
It's a politics move. I get what he's doing. I see what he's doing. I do think it is the language of losers. I know that he's doing it to try and gain an advantage for the rest of the series with the officiating crews. But, man, it stinks when you know your team is good enough to beat that team. And maybe the calls aren't going your way, or maybe there's a bad call here or a bad call there. But ultimately, look in the mirror, man. You were up 10. You had leads in both games. You let them back in. And I just, what? How much farther do you want to take this? Like, we're going to go from the most famous arena in the world and go play in our little small field house in Indianapolis and try to win this series now.
I don't know if people know this or not. They're actually playing it where they filmed Hoosiers.
Oh, is it just a roll?
Yeah. Rick Carlisle's going to be going out there with the tape measure and everything else.
Is this regulation? Is this hoop regulation? Let's figure it all out. Yeah. Hey, I'm sure that some of those calls, I know that some of those calls are certainly questionable. But this story feels like somebody that's just politicking and campaigning to maybe get a call or two go their way when it's on their home court.
The small market thing, though, that cracks me up. In this day and age of streaming and television, you could put a team anywhere, a fan base anywhere. Like that. That's what. Okay, well, let's suppose that's true. Okay,
yeah.
Then answer this question to me. Why haven't the Knicks won since 1973?
Yeah.
73! If we're fixing this, can we have one? Or maybe we're just so overdue.
This Chicago Bears fan wants to know why the large market team can't get over on the small market team in Green Bay. Because the Green Bay has just used Chicago.
Wait a second. Hit the music, Mike Danger. I've been waiting since 1986. You've been waiting since 85. I'm talking about that one. I'm talking about the damn Mets.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I could play that music for the last time that the Knicks won.
73, sure.
Yeah.
You can get them worked up. Explain to me how there's this big market bias if none of these teams can win.
There is no big market bias. That's just a guy politicking to try and get a couple calls for his next home matchup. But there's great power to be gleaned from victimhood, and I think that's what Carlisle is playing into a little bit there. Well, that series is far from over, and that's a very compelling series. And one of the things we'll be talking with PJ Glasser next, with PJ Glasser. He is the host of BetQL's Send It In. You can find it in the Odyssey app. You can watch it on Twitch, on YouTube as well at Odyssey Sports. PJ Glasser stops by the sports bar, and we'll get some winners for tonight next on The Fan.
Amerks game officially a sellout. Game 5 between Rochester and Syracuse tomorrow night. The winner advancing to the North Division Championship round. John Murphy, the longtime Buffalo Bills play-by-play announcer, telling Susan Rose from WBEN he'll no longer be in that role. Murphy says it wasn't easy.
It's hard. It wasn't that hard until the last day or two. I began to think of all the things I would miss. I'll miss a great deal. I'll miss the people. First of all, the great people that work for the Bills and have worked for the Bills over the years. I miss working with them. I miss the people more than anything.
Rochester Red Wings tonight playing at Scranton Wilkes-Barre on the Major League scoreboard. Twins are beating up on the Mariners 11-1. That's in the 8th. End of 7, it's Cincinnati trailing Arizona 4-2. Giants in Colorado, no score. The Yankees tonight hosting Houston. G. Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
It's been a couple of weeks. Let's get caught up with the host of Send It In and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, PJ Glasser. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all of the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. PJ, I'm glad you're back on with us this week. It's been a long couple of weeks without you. We want to get some winners in the NBA. We've got a couple of games to discuss tonight. I want to start with something that I saw you put out earlier in the week, and it rings true even when you look at last night's result. It feels like the Knicks play the same game every game. You can kind of predict the way a Knicks game is going to go because they're good enough to win, but they're not good enough to dominate.
Every game, guys. Great to be back with you. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to turn the Knicks game on until like the final 5 minutes, right? It just comes down to the wire. It feels like somebody's banged up. Brunson and Josh Hart and DiVincenzo are making plays at the end of games. So, yeah, I thought that series was probably going to go 6 or 7 games, and judging by the first 2, Indiana had a chance to very easily win both of them. The Knicks have won both, and now we head back to Indiana, and I'm expecting more of the same, guys. I think these games are just going to continue to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, PJ, I want to ask you about the action tonight, but certainly that game, now the NBA does it the way I wish they would do in the first round, like every other night. We don't have to wait that long now for Game 3. Tomorrow night in Indiana, are you a little surprised that Indiana's giving 7.5 when I'm looking at here right now? How would you play Pacers and Knicks tomorrow night? And your thoughts also on the officiating here, too. Is that going to kind of sway things in terms of the line or the way you bet this game?
Yeah, I definitely like the Knicks tomorrow, guys, plus the points. Indiana's the kind of team, and we see this across a bunch of different sports, where I don't really like them laying big numbers like that. It's one thing when they're dogs and they're catching 5.5, 4.5 points like they were in games 1 and 2. But that's the kind of team, because of how bad their defense is, even though they're elite offensively, they're at home. That game's a must-win for them. That's not a team that I want to back. We kind of saw that in the first round against Milwaukee. Even those games where Dame was out and Giannis was out, they were big favorites in those games. They couldn't cover those spreads where they were like 8.5, 9.5 point favorites. So I will take the Knicks in that game. I don't know if the Knicks win it outright, but I certainly think they can keep it close.
PJ, we've got a doubleheader tonight on ESPN, and it starts in Boston as the Celtics go for a 2-0 advantage on the Cavs. It wasn't remotely close in Game 1. Do you sense that more of the same will be happening tonight at the Garden?
Yeah, I like Cleveland, guys, plus the points, plus 13.5. Boston, we've seen this from them, whether it was in the first round against Miami, whether it was last year, maybe the year before that. It feels like in these series, guys, a bunch of these series they've played in the Eastern Conference, like they're heavy favorites in these games at home. And one of the games, they blow out a team. And then in the other game, it feels like they lose outright. We saw that against Miami. We saw that last year against Philadelphia in the games where Embiid was out. James Harden went nuts. Miami, obviously, last year won 3 games in Boston as big dogs. So the Celtics do this. Like, they play a game. They look great. Everybody thinks it's going to be a sweep. It'll be an easy 5-game series. And then they just have one home game where they're just not good. And you look at Cleveland, they had that 7-game series against Orlando. quick turnaround to Boston. Boston's kind of been waiting around for them. I mean, you could kind of see why that game was never really in question and how it got out of hand. But now that Cleveland's kind of settled into this series and Boston has a tendency to kind of play with their food a little bit, let these series go longer than what they probably should be, it would be Cavs or pass for me. I like Cleveland plus points.
PJ Glasser is your host of Send It In, which you can catch weekdays on the BetQL network. I think we're all kind of just waiting here for the Western Conference final between Minnesota and OKC. But in the interim, OKC, they're up 1-0 here on Dallas. And I look at this line, PJ, 4.5. I'm thinking, wait a second, that seems a little low there. What am I missing here? How would you play this one?
Yeah, I kind of like Dallas tonight, Gene. I will say that I do think Luka's got to play a lot better. You know, we saw this from Dallas in their series against the Clippers, right? They got punched in the mouth in Game 1, came right back, made the proper adjustments, ended up winning Game 2 in L.A. OKC was excellent in Game 1. Their depth was really good. Their defense was excellent. But I expect Dallas to make the appropriate adjustments. I will say, if you like Dallas plus 4.5, you even like them outright, I think you got to like a prop. Luka over 3.5 3-pointers. He was 1 for 9 from deep in Game 1. Lou Dort's obviously a very good defender. They have great rim protectors, and Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams as well. So Luka has to be able to shoot the ball from the perimeter in this game. You know, I don't think he's going to be able to draw as many fouls as he wants. He's not going to be able to live at the rim as much as he wants, especially on the road. So if you like Dallas tonight, I think Luka over 3.5 3-pointers is another prop that I would look at as well. But, Gene, to answer your question, the spread being what it is, OKC's got home court. They were favored to win the series before it started. They won by 22 in Game 1. Odds makers, I think, just are running it back and seeing if Dallas can adjust, but I think they will. I like the Mavs here in Game 2.
And PJ, what about that fourth series out west that we were talking about there with the defending champs in a bit of a hole now traveling to the Twin Cities?
Man, Game 3, guys, this is why we love sports, right? I mean, you have Denver, who's dropped the first 2 games at home. They're the defending champions, and their season's on the line in Minnesota. I was talking about it a little bit with Indiana and New York, as the Pacers being a team that I really don't like to trust with expectation. The one thing that I would caution people with Minnesota, these first 6 games of the playoffs, they've kind of been the underdog in all of those games, right? Even when they were favored in Game 1 and 2 at home against Phoenix, a lot of people liked Phoenix going into that series. They were favored to win that series. Game 1 was kind of like, okay, Phoenix, I think they can win. Minnesota wins, okay, but Phoenix is going to get them in Game 2. Phoenix wins. They go back to Phoenix. Everybody liked Phoenix in that game. Minnesota wins, and then obviously they got swept. And then those first 2 games in Denver was at home, then Gobert wasn't there. That Game 2 was finally like the aha moment, I think, for a bunch of people, where it seems like Minnesota went from a team that we all think is really good and maybe could contend to a team that now has kind of become like the front runner. So we'll see. All the pressure is on the Timberwolves now, even though they're up 2-0 and they have some games to play with. Like, the Nuggets are kind of playing with house money, guys. Nobody expects Denver to probably win a game in Minnesota, let alone come back and make this series competitive. So from that standpoint, I think it's fascinating. Personally, I'm willing to go to war one more game with Denver and take them plus 4.5. I do think Minnesota ends up winning the series, but I like the Nuggets plus the points.
PJ Glasser, your host of Send It In. PJ, as you know, here in Rochester, we're a big golf town. I think back to this time last year, we're getting all excited for the PGA Championship, and that's coming up next week. But normally when you kind of lean into a major, a lot of guys decide to play here. And this week we got the Wells Fargo Championship, which will be actually it's already underway. So I guess my question is a little dated here, PJ. But in regards to some plays here for this championship, used to talking to you on a Wednesday here, PJ.
Yeah, I know. Gene, I like Victor Hovland coming into the tournament. He's 28-1. He's 2 under par. I thought this was a course that sets up really well for him. You look at his track record last year, and it was kind of like in the middle of May. Like, it was at this point where he really started to turn a corner and turn into one of the best players in the world. So I'm thinking with the course fit this week, it could kind of be the switch that he needs. The other guy that I like this week, guys, was Harris English at 50-1. He's sitting at even par right now, so you might be able to get some good value on him. Harris has finished in the top 30 in 6 of his last 7 events. He finished top 5 here last year. It's a guy that plays tough golf courses really well, and I just think that price is too much at 50-1. So those were a couple guys that I like this week. But this course, guys, is the 3rd longest on the PGA Tour. They got some rain last night and this morning, so it's playing even longer. That's why right now Rory's leading the tournament at 5 under. But you certainly want guys that hit the ball far, that are accurate. These greens are extremely fast, so you want guys that can putt on tough courses and tough greens as well. But if you're looking at guys, even though the tournament's live and underway, Hovland and English were 2 guys that I like before the tournament.
Hey, PJ, since we haven't had a chance to talk to you in a couple of weeks, just a general kind of golf take from you. This won't be involving like who we like for next week. Hopefully we have the chance next week to talk about who you like for the PGA Championship. But, just coming off the Masters, seeing the live golfers kind of wilt and Scotty Scheffler do what he did, not just at the Masters, but then the following week again. Like Scheffler and the PGA guys versus the guys that are playing live. Do you feel like that evens things out here when we get to the PGA Championship? We saw Brooks win it all last year, but let's face it, the live guys are playing a little less golf than the PGA Tour guys. I mean, does that go into your thinking when you're handicapping for next weekend?
Not really. I think when, we first obviously got the PGA Tour live split and we got a bunch of the top players, the Cam Smiths and obviously the Dustin Johnsons and the DeChambos, and then Rahm went over there, and then Koepka won a major. I think that kind of told us that, okay, these guys can still win even though they're playing less events. But I don't put it in my handicap. It's obviously tougher to judge because they're not playing 4 rounds and they're not playing on as tough courses and they're not playing as many guys, and there's not as many fans there. There's not as many pressure on them because they know that they're making a boatload of money going into the tournament. I will say, though, guys, Brooks Koepka has won this event 3 times. He obviously won there in your neck of the woods in Oak Hill. He just won in Singapore last week. And, if you look at Brooks Koepka's track record, this is what he does. He wins events before going into a major. He gets into really good form, and he's already dropped from 20-1 to 14-1. So I know it looks like right now everybody's, battling for second place at this point because Scheffler just doesn't lose anymore when he tees it up. But here we are again, getting ready for a PGA Championship, and then Brooks Koepka's looking like a dangerous man. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on for next week.
Yeah, love it. PJ, not a lot of action tonight here, but we do have the Yankees taking on Houston. That's an early start in the Bronx at 5 o'clock. Any plays that are still remaining on the schedule that you like in baseball?
Yeah, it's actually in that game, Gene. Guys, the Astros dominate the Yankees. It's been that way for the last 7-8 years. The Yankees are 6-0 against the Astros this season. So this is just a play for me. The Astros are kind of due. They're 12-24 this season. We're getting to the point where it's do the Astros almost need to sell at the deadline a little bit? They got guys, obviously Verlander and Bregman, and some of these guys are facing contract years, which is obviously crazy to think because the Astros have been the team really of the decade here in baseball. But I do like them today. They've dominated the Yankees. They're 0-6 against them this season. I think they finally get their first win today, plus money. So I'll take the Astros plus 115.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but are you doing anything with the Stanley Cup playoffs, PJ?
Today I am, guys. I like the Avalanche tonight, plus 115 against the Stars. I think a bunch of people look at Dallas dropping those first 2 games at home to Vegas, thinking it won't happen again. Man, they were up 3-0, guys, in that game 1, and they lost that at home. Now you got to bounce back. I just think it's tough for them. So I like Colorado in that game tonight, and then I really like the under in Rangers and Hurricanes, 5.5. This was a series coming in. I thought it was going to be low scoring. They've combined for 7 goals in each of the first 2 games. 4-3 was the final score in Game 1 and Game 2. I think headed back to Carolina tonight, it's going to be much more defensive. Both goalies play well. So I like the under in Carolina and New York, and I like the Avs plus money against Dallas.
Now, I remember you were dropping off your brother at Ithaca. Are you coming back now to pick him? I would have to think the semester's got to be wrapping up soon here, PJ.
It is. It's wrapping up this weekend. I am not. My parents are heading up there Saturday to get him, so I unfortunately will not be up there. But, yeah, I mean, crazy, right? That's right. I was talking to you guys. We were previewing the NFL season when that was going on, and we're going to be doing that here again soon. By the way, Keon Coleman, I mean, the people around there got to be loving him, don't they? What a personality he is.
Well, okay, so, Gino, I know you're going to say something.
Yeah,
I'll say
ahead.
this, like, everybody falls in love with the personality, but I think smart Bills fans know, like, okay, big personality, that's great. What's he look like on the field? And the profile to I think a lot of people is that the Bills got a guy that can just kind of play above the rim, go up there and get it. He's not going to give you the same skill set that you're losing in a guy like Steph Diggs.
That's fair. On my show, Send It In, I actually gave out Coleman at 30-1 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year because, I mean, look, it's probably going to go to one of the quarterbacks. I mean, Caleb's in a great spot. We know he's going to start. Jaden Daniels obviously is going to start. We'll see what happens with, like, you know, McCarthy or Bo Nix or maybe one of the receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr. is obviously a great player. But it's like the Bills got to throw to somebody, and Diggs is gone and Gabe Davis is gone. And we know all those years when Diggs and Allen were cooking, I mean, he put up some big numbers. Cole Beasley was an all-pro. And I just like the price at 30-1. So I totally hear you guys. You know, obviously he's got to produce, and he is a rookie. But, I mean, Josh has got to throw the ball to somebody. So I don't know if you guys have talked about that, Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I certainly like the price for him at 30-1.
30-1. Interesting, PJ. All right. Maybe that's worth a little bit of a flyer here. Tell everybody about Send It In when they can check it out tomorrow, PJ.
Yeah, guys, Send It In 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. 30 minutes, fast-paced. We go through everything on the sports slate. We encourage people to chime in with their questions. We're an interactive show, so people send in their best bets, questions, comments that they have, and it's a lot of fun every single day, 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch us on Twitch, YouTube, and listen to us on the Odyssey app as well.
Love having you back on with us, buddy. Felt good to have you on and giving us some winners for tonight's action. We'll get it going again next week. Hopefully our schedules work out where we can have you on again next week. Appreciate the time as always, bud.
Always a pleasure, guys. Great catching up with you. I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, PJ.
PJ Glasser, the host of BetQL's Send It In the free-to-download Odyssey app. You can also watch it on YouTube and Twitch. And Insider Calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
Houston is at 12-24. That's the fourth worst record in baseball. Like, it used to be like, okay, when do things start to get late? Memorial Day? I don't know. If they can get back to 500 by the All-Star break, they'll be fine.
It's just, if you're a Yankee fan, how much do you love watching them just absolutely demolish Houston?
Yeah, and I'm sure that every Yankee player has to kind of know that, hey, these wins kind of mean something a little more to the fan base. That's why the Astros are due. I don't know if I subscribe to that. And also, who are the Yankees trotting out? Perhaps the most emotional player in the game today on the mound, that being Marcus Stroman. So, again, doing both teams a solid here, getting this start early today at 5 o'clock.
Soto's been spectacular, and what Stanton did to that baseball last night should have been criminal. I mean, he absolutely went nuclear on his home run shot last night. I mean, you know, again, if you're a Yankee fan, you're eating this up. You love to see Houston get destroyed the way that they've been getting destroyed by the Bombers here this series. So we'll keep tabs on that here as we're just over an hour away from first pitch on that one. All right. Coming up in the sports bar, we've got some takes on tap. I've got a fantasy take, Gino. It's not too early to talk fantasy football.
Well, I've got a Bills take on the wide receiver, and I'm ready to kind of plant my flag.
Oh,
and you know, and it's not PJ. Like, I think there's a plan here that nobody's picking up on, and I'm going to just kind of lay this out statistically why the Bills might actually be. Okay, you can agree with me, you can disagree with me on this, but I just don't think anybody's kind of pointing this out just yet.
We're going to talk to Latavius Murray And Eric Devendorf, they're going to be joining us here in about 45 minutes as well. They got a big celebrity bartending fundraiser in town happening tomorrow that we want to tell you about.
Oh, tonight, a Ranger game tonight. Let's hope ESPN doesn't switch off of this.
Oh,
we didn't
right.
talk about that. I watching that, I'm like, wait a second, like, did I just hit my phone accidentally? And then I look on X and like every hockey fan in the world was livid. If you missed this, tie game, Rangers, Carolina, 3-3, and this is going right up to 10 o'clock, and then they flip over just to the intro of the Stars and Avalanche. Like, wait, what am I missing here?
Yeah, it's like a modern-day Heidi scenario.
Yeah.
Remember the Heidi game in the NFL? Like, you can't do that. What are we doing here? Also, should point out, and this coming across from the Amerks tomorrow, if you're going to the game, a few things. One, Gino and I will be live. We're there from 3 until 7. We'll be in the upper atrium concourse area right there above the box office on the second level. And when they open up the gates, feel free to stop by and say hello. We'll be broadcasting live until 7 o'clock as your extended Amerks pregame show for Game 5 against the Crunch. The team putting out whiteout.
Oh,
whiteout tomorrow night. Now, the only thing that has me concerned about this is that they're putting it out
now,
less than 20, about 24 hours away.
Well, did they get some sort of? Were we getting the pom poms or whatever? Like whatever it would be that you can kind of wave. Also,
I hope so, because I'm doing an inventory of my family, and we could talk a little bit more about this. My family everybody's coming. The girls, I got them in. They're all coming.
Excellent.
We're all going to be there. All four of us. We're going to be sitting right next to the Battaglia family. And they already like, what Amerks gear can I wear? What do you have for Amerks gear? Like, my jersey is going to be given up to my little one. I've got that cool Amerks throwback red sweatshirt that Warren brought by with Seth earlier this year, but that doesn't really qualify for the whiteout. I mean, that would be in poor form. So we got some questions here to figure out.
Yeah, I guess maybe if somebody in the Amerks listening can kind of fill us in, or is there going to be a giveaway, or what would you suggest?
The whiteout is happening tomorrow. Wear white. Get loud, get ready for the Rochester Americans Game 5 against Syracuse. We'll have that action for you tomorrow night just after 7 o'clock on The Fan Rochester. Stand by for some takes. It's time for I'll Drink to That next on The Fan. You can join us at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Yeah, the NBA playoffs have tipped off, but it's not too late to get in on the action with FanDuel. Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the official partner of 95.7 The Fan. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to use on same-game parlays, live bets, championship futures, and so much more. And with a doubleheader tonight, you got plenty of action and no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/Mike to get started. FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite 9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester, sports update.
Emmer game officially a sellout. Game 5 tomorrow night between Rochester and Syracuse will be broadcasting live from the atrium beginning at 3 p.m. tomorrow. John Murphy, longtime Buffalo Bills play-by-play announcer, telling Susan Rose from WBEN he will no longer have that role. Murphy says he still could be involved in the broadcast.
By September, I hope to provide outdoor comment in the booth, the radio booth in September for home games and maybe little games too. But only my voice is better, But I hope, we'll see. We'll see how it works out.
Baseball tonight for the Rochester Red Wings. They continue their series down in Scranton. The Twins have now won 15 of the last 17. They did defeat Seattle 11-1. Bottom of 4 Giants are up on the Rockies 1-0. Bottom of 9 Arizona up on the Reds 5-4. 5 o'clock today for the Yankees and Astros. Gene Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Amherst Crunch.
Game 5 back at Blue Cross Arena. Attention staff, a memo has been sent to all teams.
Here's a memo.
The schedule release May 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network.
Maybe the NFL and Netflix are going to come together to host 1 or 2 of these Christmas Day games.
Mike Danger.
So what are we talking about, Gino?
Gene Battaglia.
Let's talk radios.
New York Knicks win 130-121.
Are they actually a great team, or are they just the beneficiary of some really big calls?
Somebody is asking, are the Knicks a great team? The question is, are they being gifted this series by the officials? Now that's the question.
What do you say?
The Indiana Pacers have submitted 78 plays that they felt went against them incorrectly during games 1 and 2.
78?
$1 million.
Why not $1 million?
The Florida Panthers.
The Canucks rally back for the 5-4 victory.
Toronto firing of Sheldon Keefe.
We're going to name a hockey team. There's a newish kind of one going to Utah.
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
About 25 minutes away from a conversation with Latavius Murray and Eric Devendorf. They're in town tomorrow night. Just a little celebrity bartending. We're back in the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us at 95.7 FM, AM 950, The Fan Rochester, and the free-to-download Odyssey app or your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. And don't forget about the stream as well. Check out our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe. You can watch the live stream there on YouTube. You can also check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester. We've got some takes.
Bill's take. Can we talk about Khalil Shakir?
Sure.
Okay. Here's the take. He could actually be the number one.
Stop.
Okay, I'm going to lay this out.
All right.
Now, look, I'm going to take away the objection right off the top here. This is what you do in sales, Danger. These year 2 stats not going to blow you away. 39 catches, 611 yards. Okay, but he did have 2 touchdowns in both playoff games, and Josh was going to him. But then comes this nugget, courtesy of Andy Richardson from Fantasy Index. In the 2023 season, Shakir caught over 86% of the passes sent his way. That was the best catch rate for any first or second year wideout, minimum 40 targets, in the last 10 years. Now, 45 targets, that's not a big sample. I get it. That's not a lot. But let's double the targets to 90, which, by the way, that's still not a lot, okay? CeeDee Lamb got 181 targets last year. So, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. Khalil Shakir, could he actually get double the targets? Absolutely, in this offense, okay? And if he gets double the targets, could you get double the production? Well, then you're talking about a receiver going for 1,200 yards, which actually would put Shakir in the top 10, ahead of many other receivers, including the 1,100 yards that Diggs took in last year. Danger, I think Khalil Shakir is sneaky good.
I think Khalil Shakir is reliable. He's not a 1. I think you're looking under the wrong stone here for a story. I think the guy that you want to really focus in on actually plays tight end. But this time last year, everybody was telling us he's not really a tight end. He's a pass catcher. He's a weapon. He's an offensive weapon. And it's Dalton Kincaid.
Okay, so they have both the skill set where this is what they value. I'm showing these like on
hands.
The hands. And for Shakir, can he get more? We're kind of thinking, man, it's a 3 here, but Why can't he? Josh was trusting him in key spots last year.
Yeah, I love the hands. You're right. He didn't put a lot of balls on the turf. He was catching pretty much everything that was getting thrown his way late in the season as they were kind of moving away from getting Diggs involved. I still think that was on purpose. I think that was the Bills saying, this guy doesn't want to be here. We don't necessarily want to showcase him. We've showcased what he can do through the first part of the season, but now that Dorsey's gone, let's do it the way we want to do it, and we don't want to include him.
By the way, I had people coming up to me yesterday who heard the Ken Dorsey. I got more color on the Ken Dorsey when he was up in Hilton. He was actually wearing a Browns hat.
Good.
And nobody was bothering him, by the way.
Right.
When watching his dog.
Why
on
would
Saturday.
you? Why that's kind of a D move, I think. If you know that there's somebody there that you recognize because they have celebrity, and you want to, and they're there
for their kid.
For their kid.
Yeah.
And you want to go, like if you saw Sean McDermott at a game, a youth event with his kids, are you going up to him to chat him up or to get a picture or a selfie? No, don't do that.
No, if he engages with you, that's different. It's the same thing if you go into a restaurant. If somebody is sitting there eating with their family, you're not walking up to the table. I've told the story. I went into a restaurant on Westridge Road, and hey, there's Ryan Callahan sitting there with his family. I'm like, oh. And maybe a lot of people couldn't pick up. Nobody's bothering Ryan Callahan. I'm not bothering Ryan Callahan while he's sitting there having, a meal with his family.
I like that you're going through this exercise. I'm not completely dismissing that Shakir isn't. I'm not saying he's not good. I think he's good. I don't think he's a 1.
Okay, so let's just kind of say targets, because this is more of a fantasy take, right? If you're talking about target distribution. Diggs is gone and Gabe Davis is gone. Where are those targets going? Keon Coleman gets a little bit, but they don't trust
Not right away.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he gets double the targets.
So for fantasy purposes, if you're thinking about Khalil Shakir, somebody you would draft late, because he probably won't be an early round guy, but somebody you would pick up late, hope that he cashes in early in the season, and you're sell high candidate here, because you imagine a world where late in the season Keon Coleman is getting more targets and more involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
I have a fantasy take, since we're talking a little fantasy here in the sports bar, and we're looking ahead to draft season. Andy, one of our favorites, one of our regulars actually, Andy Behrens of Yahoo, he put this out there, and I'm listening to this. Derrick Henry, is he being undervalued this offseason in Baltimore? Andy believes, based on his current ADP, that he is. Now, you can consider a few things here. He's the clear number 1 in a backfield that is the best in the league at running the football. And yes, he's tied to a running quarterback, but Lamar Jackson shouldn't be a threat at the goal line with Henry in the backfield. The way Henry is, the physicality that he has, he's your goal line option. Andy actually speculates that 20 touchdowns is in the realm of possibility for Henry this season. I'm buying into that. I also believe that the Ravens are going to be the biggest threat to the Chiefs this upcoming season in the AFC.
How old is Derrick Henry?
Off the top of my head, I'm saying 30.
He's 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I always feel like Derrick Henry is the guy that, hey, I don't want to, one of these years it's going to end. And maybe I've said that for the last 2 or 3 years, and maybe this is also kind of the elixir he needs to just kind of jumpstart things to a new level. I'm on a team that's actually winning, and everything is kind of around me. So from that, it's such a long season that the age is a concern there. That would be the only thing that I would say, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's, why do Baltimore running backs always get hurt?
Do you watch? Have you seen any Derrick Henry offseason workout videos this year?
Just like, he's. Yeah.
I don't even really think about his age. I just watch what he does. Like, that guy could bench press a Volkswagen and bust off 80 yards without breaking a sweat. He's a freak, and Andy's high on the value that might be presented if you were to pick up a guy like Derrick Henry, probably in the mid-rounds.
Pop quiz. You don't win anything for this trivia question. It's a very straightforward question. Who is Kelly Norda?
I feel like I know that name.
Kelly
I feel
Norda.
like I've heard that name.
Kelly Norda. If you said hockey, nope. WNBA, nope. She's a golfer. She happens to be the best golfer in the world right now, And this weekend, she's going for history. Did you know she's won 5 consecutive LPGA tournaments? Shooting for 6.
What am I doing complaining about Scotty Scheffler?
Yeah,
over
like
here?
Kelly Norda is just this is unprecedented. Like in any sport, I don't even think Tiger won this many in a row. And if you're thinking, that's something I could check out this week. Oh. The tournament is on tape delay on the Golf Channel. Tape delay. Like, here we have someone dominating a sport on a Caitlin Clark level, and I picked Clark on purpose, right? Because, you have women's basketball that has taken these giant steps forward. Heck, women's soccer, we had it here in Rochester. We didn't value it because even women's soccer taking steps forward. What the heck has happened to women's golf? And look, I understand in the grand scheme of the sports world, we're just a small little blip here in Rochester. But I think this actually helps to tell the story because when the LPGA was here, it was massive. It's what mattered. And the galleries here were the best on the tour. And now, here in Rochester and other places, it's out of sight, out of mind.
So let me ask you if we know anything of Kelly Norda. Does she have a personality? I feel like that's a part of the equation here. When you talk about, Caitlin Clark was dominant, but she also has a personality. When you talk about the PGA right now as it stands, the PGA Championship, you're getting personalities like your John Robinson. Any major that comes to Rochester is going to draw, but I think that's a part of it as well. If she gives good sound, if she's got a personality, then I think we're easier to gravitate towards the athlete. And I don't know anything about her other than I do remember seeing that she was doing something fairly remarkable on the LPGA Tour with all of these wins. But I couldn't tell you what she looks like. I couldn't tell you what she sounds like. Couldn't tell you what her personality is like. That feels like part of the equation that's missing here when you're talking about wanting to see that game grow again?
Yeah. And actually, I said it backwards. It's Nelly Korda. So that kind of proves my point there.
Kelly Norda, Nelly Korda.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the name. I know who you're talking about. I've seen her cross my feed, but I couldn't tell you anything other than recently she's been pretty dominant.
Just me being a marble mouth. People writing in right away. Yes.
Oh, yeah, Nelly Korda.
Nelly Korda.
One. That's right. Yes.
But that proves my point, right?
It sure does. Yeah, that sport feels like it has a long way to go to kind of like capture our minds and our attention once again the way it did when it did have some personalities back in the day, right?
Yeah.
There were some personalities on the women's tour.
She's shot a first round 69 today, so that will put her in contention.
Nice round. I'll never get tired of if me saying nice after somebody mentions the number 69 gets old to anybody. I'm sorry. I will never tire of that. I'm 12, Gino. You saw it on firsthand on display earlier today as well. We won't talk about that though. Tomorrow, Amherst hosting the Crunch. It's a decisive Game 5 in the North Division semifinals. It's a sellout, an absolute sellout, and I can't wait to do the show live from the arena from 3 until 7. I know we've got a lot of people lined up.
So Brian Roding, hey, can I get in early? The answer is no, Brian. They have security. I appreciate that. So we're going to be doing. It's like Disney World. We'll be behind the scenes before it opens, but then when you get up there, you go get a cold one. You come on over. You just think of where the box office is. And then we're right above there in the concourse. Thanks to Derek. Thanks to Warren. Thanks for everybody to helping set this up. Guests we have confirmed tomorrow, including, of course, the two voices here. Moss Brooks and Stevens will be stopping by tomorrow.
Excellent.
We will be talking to Nathan Page, who love Nathan, who goes, hey, not only am I playing for this organization, I'm going to make Rochester my home. Love Nathan Page. And then Paul Hamilton, who's coming in for Buffalo. And for the first time, stopping by. The voice of the Buffalo Sabres, Dan Dunleavy, will be joining us.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I love that. We've got a full show tomorrow. We're going to give you everything you need to know before Game 5. Will be your extended pregame for what is the biggest game of the season so far for the Rochester Americans.
Yeah, no doubt. So please make plans to join us. And if you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't get tickets. Well, look, we'll have you covered tomorrow. Don tomorrow, and Andrew will have the call. Game 5, going overtime again. See, if this goes overtime tomorrow night, I just want to put this out there because I saw the video that Sandy put out there, and the buzz was getting some traction.
Oh, wait, what was this video? I didn't see it.
She's just they became like they talked about it on their show. You didn't hear about this?
No, tell me.
Okay, so
I don't keep tabs on what my wife talks about, just like she doesn't keep tabs on what I talk about on this show.
Oh, she kind of. I'm not going to give any commentary because I don't want to get involved here, but she made it sound like you didn't give a choice here. Basically said, hey, you want to go over to the Amerks game? And then the way she says the story, she didn't answer your text for a half hour. Is that true?
She's usually, well, sometimes she can be delayed on her text messages. So I give her a pass, but I also know going into me asking the question about the Amerks game, I already know that the answer is going to be met with resistance. She's not a sports fan. She just doesn't like, we get charged up for this and we live for this and we can't wait to watch or be at an important game. Like, that's not in her wiring. She, it's all kind of silly to her. And it is, but it's fine.
Nah, look, you have to say it's a scene tomorrow night.
It's
the fact that you're going to have
a
everybody, if you've never been to an Amerks playoff game, you're on the edge of your seat, you're watching every play, and look, for people that say, hey, I don't like it, but I like the people watch, well, then I'm giving her other reasons to have a good time tomorrow night. But the long story short is she said you went to the girls and said, no, Daddy wants to go. We're going to go.
I didn't say that. I basically just put it out there. Hey, girls, Amerks Game 5, Friday night, going to be a sellout. Any interest? Does anybody want to go? Now, I took my little one last year to a playoff game. We had a blast. And my oldest always talks about wanting to go to more things. I took her to a Sabres game this last season. She had a blast at that. Again, separate occasions. But now I'm like, let's all of us. Can we all go? Like, do you want to go? And I know the resistance with my wife all comes down to, oh, I would have to drive. Oh, I would have to park. Oh, downtown and traffic. And Friday night is usually when we all get together with the family and blah, blah, blah. We don't do Sunday sauce. They do Friday nights. Friday nights is their Sunday sauce. Okay. So I eliminated all of those obstacles. And I said, you know what? I've got a little extra Uber cash in my account. Let's just get you guys an Uber. And that's what I did. I got them an Uber because I can't drive them, obviously.
Right.
We're going to be live at the arena.
Yeah.
So I got them an Uber. They're taking the Uber in from East Hilton, and they will join us at the game. And turns out we're sitting next to you, the executive producer, and Kyle.
Yeah, we're going to be having fun there. So here's my question, dude. What happened in Game 2 and also happened in Game 3? And also
overtime.
Yeah.
It's a Friday night, man.
I'm gonna make this offer to you right now on the air, okay? Because whether it's Sandy, whether it's the girls, whether everybody's kind of like, because I'm going to be down there, and the executive producer and Kyle are driving separately. So there's going to be two cars.
Mm-hmm.
So if Sandy and whoever wants to bail.
Oh, you want to give Sandy an opportunity? You guys aren't going to bail. The executive producer isn't going to bail if it's in overtime.
No, what I'm saying is, heck no, she isn't. But Sandy will want to bail. So she will bail. If she gets tired, if this goes, look, we had a triple overtime game.
I know. I was at it.
Yeah,
I remember
it was past midnight.
It was
so if
fun.
What I'm saying here, I'm just trying to be a good friend here. If the girls, any combination of them want to bail,
that's not happening.
Take your car. I will drive you home.
That's not happening. They're not going to want to bail. It's a Friday night. If it was a school night, if she had to get up early for the show the next morning, different story. She's got discipline that I don't have. Like, she gets up early, she goes to bed early. I wouldn't be able to do what she does. But it's a Friday night. Yeah, she's not going to bail. The girls aren't going to want to bail. If it goes to overtime, I mean, how thrilling is that? Hopefully they don't need overtime. Let's just get it out of the way.
I want this like when they booted Toronto out last year. You remember that? Like, yes.
Yeah.
Let's make it 3-0.
I want to be able to kick back, put my feet up, have a cold one with my buddy Gino next to me. It looks like Phil, one of our regulars, is offering to get us around as well. He'll be at Phil tweeting us at the Fan Rochester, bringing you guys around when I get there. Who was the guy that, and I apologize, I'm not getting his name. Who was the guy that said, hey, my first Amerks game, I can't wait to go?
Oh, yes, he wrote to us. And here's the funny thing. I shouldn't say funny. Because, like, I don't want to come off like I'm putting somebody down, but this person asked us, what should I wear to the game? Would a hoodie and jeans be enough? Like, they've never been to a hockey game.
Fantastic.
Like, no, you're fine. Like, this ice is going to be good. You're not going to be cold.
Yeah.
A hoodie and jeans, perfect.
You'll be in good shape.
Now, if you're going, I can rank all the local ice arenas from coldest to, all right, you can wear hoodies and jeans. And, like, that's not the case, okay? If you're going to a youth hockey arena, much different than going to the Blue Cross or the Coliseum.
I mean, as a kid, and they've come a long way, these arenas that Kyle played in or that your kids are playing in now, much nicer than the arenas I remember playing in as a kid, man. I'm telling you, barns, literal barns with, you look at the wooden ceiling and you see it frosted over. It's like you're playing in an ice box.
You are, okay, everybody who is in youth hockey or Section 5 hockey, what is the coldest ice arena? The answer is Scottsville. Okay. Scottsville, it's like you're literally in a refrigerator going in there. So, but you know this going in. I would rank them Scottsville, Lakeshore, followed by Rochester Ice, which is the old Thomas Creek.
Okay.
Webster, and then the Iceplex. That's how I would rank them. Look, they're all cold to a certain degree.
What about the one that's right down the street from us here?
Oh, I forgot about Paul Lewis.
Yeah, Paul Lewis.
Put that right in the middle there.
Okay. Yeah, Blue Cross Arena will be comfortable. And when you got over 10,000 people there, I think it'll be even more cozy. And the Amerks putting out that it's a whiteout. Now, this puts a complete wrench in the works for my family because the girls all want to wear my gear. I've got a white Amerks jersey that my little one is going to wear. She's claiming it. I don't want to be the guy that shows up not wearing white. Hopefully, there are pom-poms for everybody, and we can actually, a whiteout will actually mean the pom-poms are there or there's T-shirts or something. We're excited for it. It's going to be a great, great event, great scene, great time. We'll be live starting at 3 o'clock, the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Your extended pregames, and you mentioned that's a pretty impressive guest list. I'm excited to talk to Pacer. I'm excited to meet Dan Dunleavy, talk a little bit Amerks hockey tomorrow afternoon leading up to the puck drop at 7.
Yeah, this was, I don't know the person's name. This was the TD moves. Never been, born and raised Rochester boy, bringing two of my boys, 8 and 6.
Perfect.
This comeback and the coach on today. This is back on Tuesday.
Yeah.
With Seth. Wife approved purchase. So bleeping hype. Can't say the word.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And that's awesome. And I thought about Seth a little bit, I feel like when you've said this, that we as a sports community may have lost our identity, some partially because of how big the Bills are.
Right.
And why I think we've gravitated back to the Amerks, they're winning. Obviously, that's the number one thing. But boy, when you hear Seth say the things that he says, you get the sense that they're not only winning, but they're doing it the right way. Like he's done it in a way that all you can really do is respect it. And neither of us believe that he's not going to be a head coach in the NHL someday. Like he will be a head coach in the NHL someday because you watch and you've seen guys, Sheldon Keefe got let go today, make that rise from the AHL to the NHL with varying degrees of success. I think that's the risk for Seth Apper. Like he could probably coach in Rochester as long as you want to coach in Rochester. He's told us he'd coach wherever. If it was youth hockey, he would love coaching. If it was high school, he would love coaching it.
Well, this is from Mike Moriali. He writes for NHL.com. I think you can't get any more official than that, right? Plenty of intriguing coaching candidates to choose from out there in a league that's evolving and getting younger and faster. I don't see any issue with hiring a proven young coach that has paid their dues. That said, just wondering if Seth Apper might earn that chance. That's on NHL.com.
Yeah.
Like, you're San Jose and you need a little runway here, that's your guy.
Yeah. I can't argue it. I don't want to see it happen. I'm selfish.
You want to see it happen.
I'm selfish. I want him here forever because it's been a lot of fun having him here, and the team obviously responds to him. He's built something here that, but yes, of course, you want to see him move on and succeed and follow his passion and his dream. He's good. He's really good. And yes, some of these teams, Berube to Toronto feels like a thing, right? Like that Toronto feels like they'll get the guy that they want to get. But for a team like San Jose, sure.
Or I don't know, like how much do they pay attention to the AHL? Like they did it with Keefe. Like, okay, this worked for a little while.
Keefe, the expectations are so high. Like, they didn't fall off under Keefe. They just didn't get to where they wanted to go. It's not like Keefe took over and they went backwards.
That's just a move to appease whatever up there. Like, okay, here's your change.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah, and they made the change, and it didn't fall off, but he didn't ultimately get it done. And for what it's worth, Keefe's parting message on social media was a video today, and I thought it was pretty classy. I thought he did a good job with it. And usually you get a statement or whatever, but he actually put it out there, shared it on social media, and I think that's another guy that'll probably get another chance at some point to coach in the NHL, just because he's got that track record now. He did it in the AHL. He's kind of proven that he can do it at the NHL. I think a lot of people will be paying attention to how deep the Amerks go, and that's why tomorrow night, part of why tomorrow night I think is so much fun.
TD Moves just wrote in, like he wrote his thing out. John is my name. I'm listening every day, guys. See you tomorrow.
All right, love that.
Can't call because I'm cutting my grass. Oh my gosh, John, you are speaking your language. By the way, I'm up to 3.
Yeah.
So you and I have pulled. Wait, did you get in 4?
I got in 1 last night.
Ah!
Yeah. I used my time, and I did get one right before the rain, right before the skies open.
Okay, important tonight because I can't do it tomorrow night. Went over to Debbie Supply today. Got my little turf line. We're putting it down tonight. Get everything all. Yep.
Put on a little weed and feed.
Yeah. I think this is the time. I know some people might do it a little earlier, but
yeah, good. Well, that thing will be nice and lush by the time we have Kyle's graduation party coming up.
That's it. Well, look, you're going to judge me, and every other guy going over there, right? So, like, the preparations begin now.
I love it. All right, so tomorrow night is a sellout at Blue Cross Arena. Now, if you didn't get your tickets, or maybe that's not your particular brand of vodka, there's another event happening in Rochester tomorrow night, early actually, before you talk about Blue Cross Arena.
Yeah, I love
happy hour.
Yeah, I love these celebrity bartending events, but this one has John Wallace, Eric Devendorf, and Latavius Murray. So let's learn about, for a great cause, and one or more of these gentlemen will be talking to us next.
We'll talk a little bit about the fundraiser tomorrow night, all of the proceeds and where they're going. And yeah, we'll talk. We have Eric Devendorf and Latavius Murray. We'll talk a little Bills. We'll talk a little Q's Hoops. That's all on the way next here on the Fan Rochester.
You're listening. update.
Hammer game officially a sellout. Game 5 between Rochester and Syracuse. The winner to advance to the North Divisional Championship. We'll have the game, of course, tomorrow night here on the Fan. Rochester will be out there 3 to 7, broadcasting live from the Blue Cross Arena tomorrow. John Murphy, the longtime Buffalo Bills play-by-play announcer, telling Susan Rose from WBEN that he'll no longer be in that role. Murphy says this wasn't easy.
It's hard. It wasn't that hard until the last day or two. I began to think of all the things I would miss. I'll miss a great deal. I'll miss the people. First of all, the great people that work for the Bills and have worked for the Bills over the years. I miss working with them. I miss the people more than anything.
Rochester Red Wings tonight playing in Scranton on the Major League scoreboard. Twins get another win, this over Seattle 11-1. Reds fall to the Diamondbacks 5-4. Yankees and Astros at 5 o'clock. Gene Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
A little celebrity bartending happening tomorrow at the Rochester Beer Park from 5 until 7. We welcome in former Syracuse great Eric Devendorf. And Eric, I'm not sure, is Latavius on with you as well? I'm not sure if we got both of you or if it's just you. How are you, Eric?
Yeah, I think it's just me right now. I know Latavius he said he was going to call in, so maybe he'll call in after me. If not, I'll send him a text message and tell him to.
Yeah, Eric, how are your bartending? How are your bartending skills here? Like, what can we expect here tomorrow night?
Probably not a lot.
Well, you can pour, right?
Yeah, I can pour a beer. I've learned how to, not make it foam, be all foam. So I guess that's as far as I can get. But I'm a good learner, so I'll just learn on the go, and then I'll have some pretty good mixed drinks, I guess. And if you guys come, I'll make sure I make it happen for you.
Eric, it's not just you, it's Latavius as well. We mentioned Latavius. John Wallace also there. And John Wallace, of course, is a Rochester legend, Greece Athena grad, so he'll be there as well. That's tomorrow from 5 to 7 at the Rochester Beer Park on Averill Ave. And we'll talk a little bit about where the proceeds are going to. But, while we have you on, we got to talk a little bit about what's gone on with the program that you once played for. We got to talk a little bit about Q's basketball and your thoughts on first season post Jim Boeheim.
I thought it was a success, man. Coach Red, he came in, obviously following in some big footsteps with Coach Boeheim retiring. But I think he did a great job getting 20 wins in his first year in one of the toughest conferences in the country, in the ACC. A lot of young guys, so they had a lot of talent this year. Sometimes you could see the chemistry wasn't there, but I think the effort was there most of the time, and really that's all you could ask for. But I think, in Red's first year, he did an outstanding job of, putting the team together, which now, the landscape of college basketball, it's tough, man, putting a team together and then keeping a team together, so it's pretty much 1 year, and then you got to get a whole new team. So it's tough, and I think Red did a great job along with the coaching staff of having a pretty successful first year.
Yeah, I'm sure you get this question a lot, but do you think, wow, with name, image, and likeness and everything in the portal, do you feel like you played in the wrong era, Eric?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. You know what? I tell the guys all the time, I said, man, I would have been a millionaire. I wouldn't even have to worry about going to play after college, but it's overdue. The guys definitely deserve to get paid. I just think that right now it's kind of like the wild, wild west. They need to, be able to, find some type of restrictions and with the schools have to get involved somehow, man. With all the revenue that they're getting from these, TV stations and all that, they have to be able to figure out how to pay the kids from the school. I just think it makes more sense than you could, really treat it like a professional sport, have a salary cap, a budget, the whole nine. So, yes, I like that they're getting paid, but on the other hand, it's, they need to figure out how to restrict it and bring it all together.
Yeah, I was going to say, where do you think it goes? Because it feels it could end up being that the school with the deepest pockets and the school that has the best collectives, the deepest pockets in their collectives, could end up with the best athletes. And how do you think Syracuse stacks up to the rest of the conference when you just factor in what that NIL money does?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what it is right now. It's, who has the biggest donors, who has the biggest boosters, and that's really how, they're going to get the most money in, and obviously the kids are going to be gravitating towards more money. So, the more money you can get from boosters, probably the better your team's going to be. I just think, again, they got a long way to go as far as figuring it out, but once they do, it's never really going to be an even playing field, right? Just because of, you got universities like Texas who, and all those SEC schools. But I think with the history and tradition that Syracuse has, they're always going to be in the running. They're always going to be up there, no matter what, as far as what type of boosters they have. That name, Syracuse University, goes a long way. So they're always going to be up there competing. And even though the last, maybe 8 to 10 years, it's, the expectations of Syracuse, they didn't meet those. But, again, I think Rez has done a great job in his first year, and he's building something special. And they're going to get people on board that want to help out, donate money. And obviously, again, that's the name of the game now. Can you get those donors on board? Can you raise enough money, to be able to compete, with these other schools and get the best guys on board?
Eric Devendorf, who you can meet coming tomorrow. We'll give that info once again. The Rochester Beer Park, 5 to 7, and this is for a great cause, along with Latavius Murray and John Wallace. Eric, I got another question for you about the Syracuse basketball, and this is my favorite Eric Devendorf memory. You know where I'm going with this. It's 2009. It's the Big East tournament. You nail that shot, and just the celebration, like, yeah, UConn went down. Oh no, it doesn't count. And then it's another overtime. It's another overtime. It's another overtime. So I guess part one of the question was, what was it like to play in that game where it's still a lot of Orange fans, that's near and dear to their heart, the way you guys somehow found a way? And then part two, like, all right, like with Syracuse playing now Cal and Stanford, are we ever going to get back to a point where, like, wait, why are we doing this?
Can I add a part three to that too? When did they reach out to you for the 30 for 30 on the greatest college basketball game ever played?
Well, part one, obviously being able to be a part of that game in Madison Square Garden, versus your rival UConn on ESPN, the stage was already set for an unbelievable game. And every time, Coach Calhoun and Coach Boeheim, go against each other, it was going to be a fight to the end. And that game right there, obviously, in my mind, was the greatest game of all time. And people say all the time, don't you wish the shot would have counted? And I tell them no, because we wouldn't even be having this conversation if it did. It would have just been a regular game winner in Madison Square Garden, but it ended up being the start of something that was an instant classic. And it's they have the jersey up there and the whole storyboard. It's in Madison Square Garden.
Is, yeah.
So, that was a special game, man. So, the shot was kind of the setup for the beginning of the drama. And like you said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and eventually, we won it in 6 overtime. So to be a part of that, and people still talk about it to this day, obviously, it's pretty amazing when you look back. And, I remember, the game ended at 1:30, and, we probably got out of the locker room around 2:30, 2:45, and, we're going across the street to the diner at 3:15. Me and my roommate Renze Anawaka, who was the starting center at the time. So, and then we get back to the hotel and it's already on ESPN, being an instant classic. So, to be a part of that game, it was just special. And your, the second part of your question, it's the money thing now. It's football. It's TV revenue. So all these conferences are getting mixed up in it. In a minute, there's going to be no NCAA. It's just going to be, 3 or 4 big time, power conferences, and that's how they're going to, kind of do it. But there was nothing like that old Big East. My freshman year, first year coming into Syracuse, I remember that was the first year where they kind of took a bunch of those teams from Conference USA and put them into the Big East. So you had the original Big East members, and then you added teams like Cincinnati and DePaul and Marquette. I think South Florida as well. So that in my mind was the greatest conference of all time, from top to bottom. I remember every single night. You didn't have a night off, man. It was it was pretty special to be a part of that conference. And like I said, the rivalries, the competition, night in, night out, it was a battle, man. Tell me part 3 again. Sorry.
30 for 30 on the greatest college basketball game ever. Have they reached out to you yet? Because that's got to be coming down the pipe at some point.
Yeah, you think it would. They haven't reached out to me yet. I've seen a bunch of other people talking about it on podcasts and kind of saying the same thing that you just said. So hopefully down the line they reach out because again that was a special game to be a part of.
Eric, what is life like for you now post playing? We talk to guys that have had great moments and great careers, and they stay involved in the game in one way, shape, or form. Some get out completely and have a long life, and then there's others that they have a hard time filling that void that leaves when you're done playing the thing that you've played your whole life. I'm just curious as to how you've adjusted post career.
You know what? I've been pretty lucky to be a part of the Syracuse community, and when you play Syracuse basketball, it's like you're on the team forever. You know what I mean? Yep. So wherever I go in Syracuse, I mean, they're still talking about the 6OT game. They're shouting out Devo from way across the block. So it's so much love and support here in this community, and I've been lucky enough to use that platform that Syracuse basketball gave me. To start my own ED23 Hoops, which is my for-profit, and we do camps and clinics. We have 10 AAU teams, boys and girls, that are going on right now. We do speaking engagements. We have financial literacy classes and a bunch of different opportunities for the kids in the community of Syracuse and surrounding areas. And then I just launched my nonprofit, ED23 Foundation, in August. So that allows us just to help out a lot more in the community and really help on a larger scale. We already were doing a lot of stuff in the community as far as like turkey drives and back to school events, coats and shoe drives, things like that. Now the foundation just allows us to reach out a little bit more and help a little bit more people. And, obviously that's why this Friday is for that, to be able to raise some money to continue to do these type of events in the community and give back to the community of Syracuse. And I'm pretty fortunate and lucky to know guys like Latavius Murray and John Wallace. Obviously, John being from Rochester and Latavius being, from right here in Syracuse. So to be able to partner with those guys and, the names that they have, it allows us to get out there and get a further reach to people who want to help out and support. And, that's what it's all about, man. I was lucky enough to play at Syracuse University, in the greatest arena, Carrier Dome. Gets to travel to play against, these NBA caliber players in Madison Square Garden. And now it's my turn to be able to give that back to a community that's always supported me, always showed me love through the ups and downs. And, I'm really enjoying it, man. I guess to answer your question, the transition has been, it's going to be ups and downs, but it's been pretty smooth, man, because I've been lucky to have a lot of support here in Syracuse that's allowed me to get opportunities with different things here in the community, and I'm just really thankful for that.
Again, that's going to be tomorrow, 5 to 7, Rochester Beer Park on Averill Ave. All proceeds going to the ED23 Foundation, Heavenly Productions, and the Heart and Tay Train Foundation. And look, you're there for a poor, and Eric, people just tip generously tomorrow. It's all going to a great cause.
Yeah, absolutely. All the proceeds go back to our foundations, and like I said, we partner on a lot of the events that we do. Me and Latavius, we gave away 1,500 pairs of brand new sneaks in cleats last summer to the community out to the south side of Syracuse. So if you can, bring your family, bring your friends, bring whoever you want. Go in there, tip the bartenders. Participate in the raffles. All that helps us do more events in the community and help out a lot more people. And again, that's what we're all about. We're going to continue to do it. We're going to continue to try to fundraise and get this money up so we can, continue to help out more people.
Eric, before we let you go, what do you like in the NBA postseason that you've seen so far? Are you rooting for anybody? What do you got going on?
You know what? My favorite player now. So Kyrie's my guy. Like he's just the most skilled player ever. Like it's unbelievable. But Edwards, man, Anthony Edwards, just his whole approach, his demeanor, like he's fearless. It's just that's how I was on the court. I didn't care who was in front of me. I was going to go right at you, man. And just to have that approach, times that talent that he has, man, he's fun to watch. And it's some pretty good young teams, man. OKC in Minnesota, They're looking really good. So, but again, you got the team on the other side, the Boston Celtics, who if they play how they're supposed to play, they're going to beat anyone, man. So I think Boston will beat the Knicks in the conference finals, and then they'll eventually get to the championship where they beat, I'm going to say, OKC. So I say Boston and OKC in the finals, and I think Boston ends up winning it.
Eric, good luck tomorrow night. Anytime you want to come on here, let's do this again, hopefully sometime.
Absolutely. We're going to have a lot more events, man, so we're definitely going to reach out, and I'm happy that you guys are supporting and helping us promote it, man.
No,
really
anything to do for the community, Eric. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming to town. Looking forward to a great event tomorrow night, and have a great night tonight, Eric.
Absolutely. You too, guys. Take care.
Eric Devendorf, former Syracuse, and Latavius Murray and John Wallace are all going to be at the Rochester Beer Park tomorrow from 5 until 7. A little happy hour celebrity bartending with all proceeds going to Eric Devendorf's ED23 Foundation, Heavenly Productions, and the Heart and Tay Train Foundation. Largest tip wins a grand prize. I should mention also all ages are welcome.
That shot should have counted. Like 15 years ago, you remember that game if you stuck with it through how many overtimes? 6? And that's a great take. Like,
it's one of those games that you remember where you were, right? And if you were lucky enough to be there, I know there are a lot of people that are saying, "Oh, of course I was there. I was there." Like it becomes like the comeback game for
how
the
many
Bills.
people? I'm gonna confess, Danger. I fell asleep. I missed it. I missed it.
I was at a bachelor party weekend in Minneapolis, and I remember watching the overtime in a bar, hammered with my buddies. I mean, we were, but like into it because of what we were watching. It was ridiculous.
So Devendorf hits the shot. He gets up on the scorer's table.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And then, wait a second, that doesn't count?
Right. Yeah, not so fast, buddy. That'll be a fun time tomorrow night. So here's your game plan. If you really want a game plan.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Maybe go celebrity bartending with Devendorf and John Wallace and Latavius Murray at the Rochester Beer Park right after work, 5 until 7. And then, after you've spent your time there, shoot on over to the Amerks, Blue Cross Arena. The gates for Blue Cross Arena, 6 o'clock? Is that where we're here?
Yep.
So we're there from 3 until 7. We're your expanded pregame show for Amerks hockey tomorrow night in the decisive Game 5 against Syracuse. Stop out and say hi. We're right above the box office there in the second floor of the atrium. That's tomorrow afternoon. Can't wait. And your day is set for you tomorrow. I feel like it's going to be a real low production day tomorrow. I don't know how focused I'm going to be on anything other than Game 5.
It's like, you're not going to be very productive tomorrow.
No. Tomorrow's a day where I'm just thinking about puck drop. That's it. Happy hour is on the way next in the sports bar. We welcome you to join us at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. And I think we could probably spend a little bit of time, since we haven't just yet, other than your updates, talking about the decision of John Murphy to call it a career. It sounds like he's going out on his terms, but Murphy making the difficult decision.
Yeah, there's some things we can kind of learn from this whole, and we'll get into it here. John Murphy today making the announcement. We'll have more coming up in sports.
Don't forget about a round of shots coming up during happy hour as well. And last call again, 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
It's official. It's a sellout tomorrow night for the Rochester Americans. Game 5 between the Amerks and Syracuse, with the winner to advance to the North Division Championship. Our coverage will begin at 3 o'clock tomorrow on the Sports Bar, as we'll be broadcasting live from the Blue Cross Arena. John Murphy, the longtime Buffalo Bills play-by-play announcer, telling Susan Rose from WBEN he's no longer going to be in that role. Murphy says, though, he still could be involved.
By September, I hope to provide and/or a comment in the booth, the radio booth, in September for home games and maybe road games too. But only my voice is better, But I hope, we'll see. We'll see how that works out.
Rochester Red Wings tonight, playing Scranton once again. Finals from today in baseball. Twins over the Mariners 11-1. Rockies defeat the Giants 8-1. Yankees and Astros beginning at 5 o'clock. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Amerks Crunch.
Game 5 back at Blue Cross Arena. Attention staff, a memo has been sent to all teams.
Here's a memo.
The schedule will release May 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network.
Maybe the NFL and Netflix are going to come together to host one or two of these Christmas Day games.
Ho, ho, ho. Mike Danger.
So what are we talking about, Gino?
Gene Battaglia.
Let's talk radios.
New York Knicks win 130-121.
Are they actually a great team, or are they just the beneficiary of some really big calls?
Somebody is asking, are the Knicks a great team? The question is, are they being gifted this series by the officials? Now that's the question.
What do you say?
The Indiana Pacers have submitted 78 plays that they felt went against them incorrectly during games 1 and 2.
78?
$1 million.
Why not $1 million?
The Florida Panthers.
The Canucks rally back for the 5-4 victory.
Toronto firing of Sheldon Keefe.
We're going to name a hockey team. There's a newish kind of one going to Utah.
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
It is happy hour. We welcome you back into the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia, pull up a stool at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app. We sound our best on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan, and we're looking our best on our video stream, our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, also streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester. Like, subscribe, click that little bell so you get notified every time we go live here in the Sports Bar. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Listener to the show, Dave Raskop, who is actually a good friend of mine over at Debbie Supply, said, hey, wait a second, I didn't wait, John Murphy's retiring? What did I miss here? And this is a story hey, I understand, if a lot of people didn't know what was going on here, John Murphy had a stroke, but it was the night before the Bills-Bengals game.
Right.
So talk about, we didn't know what was going on with that, and then all of a sudden we come back with DeMar Hamlin, and then Brownie's calling a game, and we really don't know the extent of what John is going through. It's a private matter. You get to the spring, and then you realize, okay, this is kind of interim. But with a lot of stories, Danger, you hear the story or you read the story until you see the video, or in this case, hear the audio. It takes on a whole different meaning. And really, John, he's been on our show before.
Yeah.
Man, I commend you for making this decision, and we just are just hoping, for all the best here.
Yeah, this is John Murphy earlier. Of course he would want to be in the booth calling games, but he recognizes that he's just not made enough progress in terms of getting back his voice.
I just felt like it's too much. I'm not making good enough progress to come back full the way I want to do it and the way I want to be.
Now, they haven't made anything official in terms of who will replace John Murphy, but come on.
It's got to be Brownie.
Given everything that happened, given the circumstances of which everything happened, think about Brownie having to call that Cincinnati game, being thrust into that role in the most unprecedented of scenarios. That's never happened.
Right. So John Murphy has talked about this too, where, we have somebody calling in here, Danger. So we'll get to this.
All right, so we'll get to John Murphy, and we'll talk a little bit more about John Murphy making the decision to step out of the booth. But before we talk a little bit more about that here during happy hour, and we have time for your calls at 866-4326 if you want to pull up a stool and join us in the sports bar. Is this who we think it is?
Yeah, we loved him as a running back, particularly for the Buffalo Bills.
That's right.
He's going to be in town tomorrow night for this great fundraiser. It's going to be just kind of raising funds here. Celebrity bartender, former Buffalo Bills, or maybe current Buffalo. I don't know what his status is. We'll ask him about that. But coming into town, Latavius Murray joining us here in the sports bar. Latavius, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
We're doing well, Latavius. What's your status, man? We want to know what's going on with you, where you been, what's been going on this offseason. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm a free agent still, but I've been in Buffalo. Our kids are in school here, so we are still in Buffalo. Just been training and working out, staying ready, and yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, if the Bills come calling, would you would certainly accept that call, correct?
Yeah, no doubt about it, and that's why I ended up buying this house here and moved my family here. So without a doubt.
Latavius, what's this offseason been like for you? There's some reports out there that you are taking care of your body. You went for some extra treatment in maybe an unconventional way. What can you tell us?
Yeah. I went down to Colombia and got some stem cells. Just felt, man, it was I heard a lot of good things, and a lot of former teammates and current players, active players, said a lot of good things about it. And so I wanted to give myself the best chance to feel at my best going into this season.
Latavius Murray, staying in the area from Syracuse originally. He's going to be in Rochester tomorrow. You can come meet Latavius. Is a great event. We'll give some more info here on Latavius. How has it been for you, just in regards to kind of transitioning over to kind of the leader? You have these guys that weren't even in the league, 10 years ago when you were in the league. So how was that role for you in Buffalo when you're mentoring a James Cook and some of these other younger players?
Yeah, it's good. It's cool, right? Like it's an opportunity to, pass down what was given to me. And so, I learned a lot from, a lot of vets that I've been around, and I think that's just what it's about when you're a vet is passing it down, sharing that knowledge and just trying to be able to help really any player in any position. But obviously you mentioned James, especially your position room, allowing them to be at their best, and you give them whatever you can to make that happen.
Latavius, before you jumped on with us, we were discussing a night that you weren't a part of, but we were talking about John Murphy, the former voice of the Buffalo Bills, stepping away and suffering a stroke the night before the Cincinnati game where Damar Hamlin fell with his cardiac event. You came into this team last year, a team that had been through a lot the season prior, and you kind of took on this leadership role. I mean, we heard the reports of you organizing team meetings and trying to get these guys all, galvanized and unified. What was this last season with the Buffalo Bills like behind the scenes? What, how much of that from the season prior carried over into what the Bills were last season?
Yeah, I think every year, every team is different, and obviously the year prior I wasn't a part of that team, and but everybody was familiar with Damar's situation, but in terms of like this year, I think especially during that point you mentioned, we weren't playing our best, and it wasn't nothing more than a reminder to everybody in that room that even a guy like me, who was on the outside looking in, was a fan of this team, and the culture and the way they played the game. Right, it just looked fun, right, and I wanted to be a part of that. And those guys that were on the TV when you were watching, they still are in that room, so I know we were fully capable of being that team, and we just weren't. And so that was just that reminder, man, of just letting everybody know that those guys are still in that room and that we were capable of doing, and what we end up ultimately doing, going on a little run and getting into the playoffs and putting ourselves in a position to win.
Latavius, a lot of Bills fans, a lot of reporters surprised at the move that the Bills traded Stephon Diggs to Houston. Did that move surprise you?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was surprising to see it happen. Obviously, there were a lot of talks about him being unhappy and whatnot, and so just surprised that it happened. But Steph is a heck of a player. I'm a heck of a teammate, and I think what's important is that he's happy, and he's able to be at his best. And I obviously wish him nothing but the best. And I've known Steph prior to Buffalo, so I got nothing but respect for Steph, and I definitely wish him the best.
You had yourself a season, Latavius. I mean, looking over some of your highlights, I mean, there's one where you had no business. Josh had no business throwing it. I don't know that you had any business catching it. Talk a little bit about what it was like playing with this offense last year.
Yeah, it was definitely different. And when you're playing with a quarterback like Josh, who emphasizes a lot, I think that's a cool part about this offense. But obviously, a cool part about playing with Josh is that I think every throw is an option. The play is not over, and that's what's fun. Again, that's what's exciting about it, right? When you're on the outside looking in, that's what sticks out to you is the way they play the game, the way he plays the game. So it was fun to be a part of it and to be on, the good side of it and not as opposing.
What does it mean? And again, Syracuse, Buffalo, I think we're all kind of, Rochester, we're all kind of bonded together, right? Like what does it mean for you to go from being, just this celebrated high school athlete in Syracuse and just to kind of, do you view this kind of full circle here, Latavius, that today your home still is in this area?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think we do all share a common theme of like we're not major cities, at least upstate New York. A lot of people think about New York, and they obviously think about the city and downstate and Manhattan. And but yeah, for us, upstate, truly upstate, and call it even Western New York, I think it's still upstate, but we share that in common. And so the fact that I grew up just 2 hours down the road and played high school ball, or started basically my football career in Pop Warner 2 hours down from where I'm at the tail end of my professional career, that's definitely full circle, and just definitely something that I'm been appreciative of being able to experience, because I don't think many do get that opportunity.
Latavius, how'd you hook up with Devendorf and John Wallace for this celebrity bartending fundraiser that we got some great organizations here that you guys are all representing that we're raising money for tomorrow night?
Yeah, Eric has been he's been a staple, obviously, like his playing career and what he accomplished in the Cuse uniform. But since graduated, man, he's just been a pillar in the community as far as what he's doing with the kids, what he's doing in the community. And so I've always been a fan of him on the court, but man, just a huge fan now of what he's doing off the court. And we've done some things together, our foundations, but he reaches out, man, and if I'm available to do it, I would do anything for him, man, because he means a lot to the city, and I really appreciate a guy from Michigan who stepped foot on campus but really hasn't left Syracuse since, and still continues to impact the community.
Yeah, John Walsh, of course, being he's a legend here in Rochester. Eric Devendorf, and joining us on the phone, Latavius Murray, celebrity bartending fundraiser tomorrow night at the Rochester Beer Park. So, I guess the question, Latavius, how good are your bartending skills?
Man, I'll tell you what, we're gonna find out. But I'm not a big drinker, but I didn't have a lot of different options when I do. So hopefully they keep it simple. If not, I'll make it simple, and but it'll be fun, man. I'm excited, and I think it's kind of like my first time doing something like this. So I think it'll be cool to, a fun way to raise money towards a good cause.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about the foundation and where the money is going to, Latavius, the work that you're doing.
Yeah, so we are. Eric has his ED3 Sports Foundation, and obviously partnering with Eric, he and I have done the Heart and Tay Train Foundation, and so we give back to the kids in the community locally, and any way we can. We've done book bag drives, we've done sneaks and cleats, and so we definitely plan to put it back into the community, back into the kids, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, as tomorrow night you can tip Latavius, and by the way, you can bring your kids tomorrow night to this event. All ages are welcome, and certainly Bills Mafia. Latavius, I would expect to come out and show up tomorrow night. What has it been like for you? Because I'm sure you played in a lot of different NFL towns, but it's hard to kind of be invisible when you're playing in Western New York for the Buffalo Bills. What has it been like interacting with this fan base?
I think it's been really cool. A lot of positive, just support. Even even for me, who's a guy like, I always wish and think I can do better. But it's just been some tremendous, feedback, tremendous support in terms of me wanting me to come back. And so I just can't thank this fan base enough for the support. And obviously I haven't only been a year, but it's a really cool fan base to be a part of. My neighbors, from everybody that I encounter here in Western New York, man, has just been amazing.
Well, Latavius, we're looking forward to a great event tomorrow night. I hope a lot of fans get the chance to help out in the community and get a chance to see you and Devendorf and John Wallace as well. And really appreciate you giving us some of your time this evening to talk a little bit about what your future holds and last season, the season that was for you in Buffalo.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate you guys having me on. Again, anytime we can give back and obviously being able to interact with this fan base out here and fan base in Rochester who supported us, it's a good feeling.
All right, Latavius, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I want to see you out at St. John Fisher College, so we're going to put in a few calls for you, buddy.
All right, there you go. Appreciate y'all, man.
All right,
you got it.
Thanks,
Latavius Murray played with the Buffalo Bills at running back last year. Will be in Rochester along with Eric Devendorf, John Wallace tomorrow. It's a celebrity bartending function at Rochester Beer Park on Avril Ave. And all proceeds benefit the ED23 Foundation, the Heart and Tay Train Foundation, and Heavenly Productions. You want a chance to meet Latavius Murray, hang out with Eric Devendorf, John Wallace. They'll be there at the Rochester Beer Park tomorrow from 5 to 7.
Latavius Murray not retired.
Not retired.
Not retired.
Wants to play.
Yeah.
And when you saw the report that he went down to Columbia for some stem cell therapy, it's like, okay, he's going to do everything he can to get his body ready for another season, a grind. And at his age, with the career that he's had, I have to imagine going to training camp is probably something that he's not really excited about the prospect of doing. But you could see Latavius Murray being a signing at some point.
Well, right. In particular, because he offers a different skill set. To me, it's great that the Bills drafted Ray Davis, but is he all really that different from James Cook? No, but you need more than one running back, I suppose. Ty Johnson has a different skill set. I could see the Bills bringing back Latavius Murray, and then he's on the practice squad, and you can elevate him for a game here, a game there, because why wouldn't you want that guy in the building?
Yeah,
why wouldn't?
Veteran leader.
Yeah.
And, you would imagine that would make some sense. But, yeah, you get the clear impression he wants to latch on to a team. He wants to continue to play, that he is not hanging it up. But you know what? You can find out for yourself. You can talk to him yourself tomorrow at the Celebrity Bartending Fundraiser at Rochester Beer Park. So big thank you to Latavius for stopping by. Also a big thank you to Eric Devendorf, who joined us last hour here in the Sports Bar.
Yeah. We have time for your calls here in Happy Hour, 866-4326, 866-4FAN. One of the calls I couldn't take there while we were in Joe Capogreco Sr. Was that a butt dial, do you think? Or was that, I don't know.
Do you think Joe has a...
Maybe he wanted to talk to Latavius.
Maybe Joe has a take on John Murphy? Retirement?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Joe, if it was a legit call us back here, bud.
We were talking about Murph's decision to pull back and no longer call games for the Buffalo Bills. And I think where we left off was essentially saying, like the Bills haven't made any formal, official announcements, but shocking to imagine that it'd be anybody other than Brownie and Eric Wood in the booth moving forward.
Well, I think that today is a day you honor John Murphy for his service. You explain what's going on, and then at some point, because if you said, hey, Brownie's the guy moving forward, you give today to John.
This is the Buffalo Bills tribute to John Murphy, a video tribute that they posted earlier today.
Bills football. It's woven into the fabric of Western New York.
A voice shapes the way we experience our greatest moments and how we relive our most unforgettable memories.
Now he's going to run. Tyrod on the run at the 15-10. Nobody in front of him into the end zone. Touchdown! Holy mackerel, they did it again! Shady's going to score. Shady's going to score. Touchdown! The Bills win it in overtime.
That's what John Murphy has been for the Buffalo Bills. For the past 35 years, Murph has been the voice. The voice for fans who turned the TV down and the radio up. And the voice pumping throughout the halls of Highmark Stadium.
He headed to the end zone, 10-yard line, 5-yard line. Touchdown! Touchdown! Fred Jackson! What a run!
In our darkest days of the drought, Murph still shined bright.
Picked off by Bird at the 35. Jarris Bird in full flight at the 20. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Jarris Bird!
But he saw it through.
There were champagne corks popping, high fives, people hugging loved ones, plenty of kisses and tears. Lots of tears all over Western New York. 1 week ago today, New Year's Eve, and a New Year's Eve that will never be forgotten. It was the day the Bills buried the playoff drought, a red-letter day in franchise history.
And he was there for the new beginning.
And Josh Allen enters the game. Buffalo's first-round draft pick, 7th overall in the draft, steps onto the field with 11:22 left to play in the third quarter. Let's see what he can do, Mark. Allen back to throw, going to run it and keep it himself to the 40. Jumps over a man at the 45, and he gets the first down. He's unbelievable.
For the first division title in 25 years.
The Buffalo Bills are champions of the AFC East for the first time in 25 years. A big step, but just one step on their way to a Super Bowl, Steve.
And for our climb back to title contention.
Guns it downfield, picked off, intercepted at the 45-yard line, picked off by Matt Milano, headed to the end zone, he is in. Touchdown, Buffalo! Matt Milano, touchdown, Buffalo. They are rolling him now.
Congratulations on a standout career, Murph. We can't wait to have you back soon. As this chapter comes to a close, the story of the Buffalo Bills remains unfinished, but your legacy is forever ingrained in our history. Touchdown. Touchdown, Buffalo.
Touchdown! Touchdown! Touchdown, Buffalo! Oh!
Fantastic.
Oh, good job.
Yeah.
Putting that together. Yeah, Murph, you forget that, wow, when Van Miller was there, it was actually Murph was the color guy.
That's
and then,
right.
So getting promoted there and hearing John talk to Susan Rose from WBEN. Look, this is a lesson for all of us. It's tough. It's tough to hear.
It's good. I mean, I've lost a lot of weight. I work out every day. I feel good. I just can't talk, and that's what's holding me back from being on the radio. I just can't talk, and it wouldn't be fair. I thought I might make it back last year and didn't, and I tried again this year, and not going to happen. So it's slow progress, but it is progress, and hopefully, by September, I'm able to talk a little bit.
So you say it wouldn't be fair. Wouldn't be fair for what?
Well, the people who want to know how the Bills are doing, it wouldn't be fair to do the Bills game,
So are you stepping away then from the Bills broadcast booth?
Yes, for good. I did miss last year, and then I missed this year. Too much to miss.
And it sounds like, though he won't be in the broadcast booth, you still will. Murph will be present around the team, around the organization.
I think it would be great, like if he joined for pregame, got his perspective on stories here, and you listen. It's not the way you want the story to end, and I guess, the lesson here is like you hear about this. John he's still with us because somebody recognized right away. Wait a second. He has a headache here. This was the night before the Bengals game, before they're supposed to get on the plane. Somebody recognized the signs. So I guess that's the lesson here. And I commend John Murphy for actually stepping forward and saying, this is who I am today. And you know what? If there's anything we can kind of look, what do they say? Fast? Like that's the, FAST, recognizing what happens, when somebody is having a stroke.
So if you were to ask John Murphy his most memorable game.
Ooh.
Well, let's get his answer.
Yeah, okay. No. Like, what would be the most memorable game for John Murphy? He was not on the call for the comeback game.
Uh-huh.
He can't, unless he's saying as a fan that was his most memorable one. I'm going to say winning in Miami, breaking the drought, where you watched after. What do you think?
God, I feel like that Taron Johnson pick was pretty remarkable against the Ravens.
Against the Ravens
in the postseason.
Yeah.
Although that was the COVID year. But we're talking about memorable. That was a memorable game. That was a memorable set of circumstances and a play that I think a lot of us will always remember. John Murphy on his most memorable game.
The most memorable Bills game was a playoff game a couple years ago in Kansas City when they had a lead with 13 seconds left and lost. And that was a tough game to take.
I didn't want to think about it.
It was so momentous. I didn't really accept what it meant until it took me a day or two. I came home and watched the tape, and I realized, oh my God, they lost that game because it was back and forth. There was game-winning touchdown for Mahomes and game-winning touchdown for Josh and back and forth. And in the end, Kansas City won, but it didn't hit me until a couple of days later that they lost that game. That was probably the biggest shock and the most memorable game I did.
Dude,
you're wrong. I don't want to remember that.
Dude, I don't know if I'm disgusted by us or if I'm proud of us. It's one of two, because the easy chalk answer would have, of course, been 13 seconds. Neither of us said it because why? We've blocked it out of our memory. We don't want to think about it.
Well, remember, he's a pro. Like, he's looking at this not like from a fan standpoint. I don't want to,
I was thinking about the best plays and 13 seconds was pretty fantastic.
We were out at Three Heads on one Friday for Football Friday, and they're replaying that. Stop.
Yeah, we don't want to see that again.
Nope.
Thanks for digging up that memory on your way out, Murph. He's right. That is absolutely the most memorable game that he called. It's one of the most memorable games in NFL history. We've just kind of blocked it out of our memory. Just a couple of other NFL notes. Allen Robinson, veteran wide receiver, signing with the Giants. Zay Jones visiting with the Chiefs.
Okay, and he was with how many other teams?
Yes.
This feels like you're visiting.
Lots of kicking of the tires happening.
Yeah, it's either you want to be paid or they are really not impressed. So... Yeah. Zay Jones, self-awareness here, bud. If somebody's offering you a job, take the job. You're not going to make a lot of bank.
The other thing that I thought was interesting was that we've already learned that there will be games on Christmas Day this NFL season, even though Christmas falls in the middle of the week. Who will actually air that package, those two games on Christmas? Though there's word on the street that it could be Netflix, who the NFL has not done any business with. But when you consider $50 to $1 million each for the Christmas package, Netflix, if they're looking to make a splash and showing that they can do major live events as they did with the Brady roast last weekend, maybe it's Netflix that ends up with those Christmas games. The Bills are...
you understand why Amazon launches in, they're offering some sort of deal, right? On Christmas Day, you're at somebody else's house. And you're watching their Netflix account. Netflix wants to get everybody paying for their own Netflix, right? That's the secret here, right?
Well, I think they're in the business of getting subscribers. And it feels like everybody subscribes to Netflix, but I don't subscribe to Netflix.
No, a lot of people share their passwords. That's also a part of it, too. So
I would never admit to that on the federal airwaves of WROCAM. I would never admit to such a thing, but I understand what you're saying.
I've heard people do it.
Yeah,
Maybe not advocating.
Yeah, maybe that's a widespread belief. We'll keep you posted on that schedule coming out on Wednesday. I did my mock schedule. Gino did his mock schedule. We'll share those probably early next week in advance of the official schedule being released.
Listen,
middle of the
tomorrow.
week.
Yeah, tomorrow is the day to celebrate Rochester.
Yeah,
really,
tomorrow
it
is all about the Amerks, and we can't wait. We'll be live from 3 until 7 at Blue Cross Arena as your extended pregame for Amerks Syracuse, Game 5 in the North Division semifinals. Series tied at 2. Looking forward to that. All right, let's get to a round of shots next.
Yeah, Ricardo's not happy.
Who's not happy?
Oh, Rick Carlisle.
Oh, Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, Indiana Pacers head coach. This isn't fair.
I wish I could do Droopy Dog. If I could do the Droopy Dog voice, I would do Rick Carlisle as Droopy Dog. I'm not happy.
He's got a strategy that is going to bomb or. Well, I don't know if it's got a chance at working. Remember the story with the interpreter? Yeah, he's looking at a lot of time.
You need to get a fall guy like this dude.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, exactly. And why we as Rochester sports fans are getting robbed. I'll explain. The Pirates prospect called up, but we're robbed of another opportunity.
Here we go. All right, we'll get to a round of shots. We have last call coming up as well at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Sports we care about in Rochester are right here on the Fan Rochester. Listen anytime on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Amherst Hockey tomorrow night, officially a sellout. Of course, we'll have it for you here on the Fan Rochester, 7 p.m. for Don and Andrew tomorrow night on the Call. The Sports Bar will be broadcasting live from 3 to 7 at the Blue Cross Arena on Friday. John Murphy, the longtime Buffalo Bills play-by-play announcer, telling Susan Rose from WBEN he's no longer going to be in that role. Murphy says this was not easy.
It's hard. I wasn't that hard until the last day or two. I began to think about all the things I would miss. I'll miss a great deal. I'll miss the people. First of all, the great people who work for the Bills and have worked for the Bills over the years. I miss working with them. I miss the people more than anything.
Rochester Red Wings tonight playing at Scranton Wilkes-Barre. The Astros have gone on top of the Yankees 3-0. They're in the middle of the second. Twins have now won 15 of the last 17. They defeat Seattle 11-1. Gene Battaglia, the Fan Rochester.
Bills, Sabres, Amherst. Your home for live sports is 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Last call still coming up. You can join us at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. First, a round of shots in the sports bar.
So, Danger, do you think Indiana Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle is going to get fined for this? Quote, there were 29 plays in game one we thought were clearly called the wrong way. I decided not to submit them because I just felt we get a more balanced whistle tonight. He then adds this rallying cry as his team heads home, quote, small market teams deserve an equal shot. They deserve a fair shot no matter who they're playing. Game 3 tomorrow night in Indianapolis.
I just think if you spent more time coaching your guys instead of worrying about the calls, this is just him politicking to try and get a few calls to go his way when they're playing back at home.
But now you bring in the small market crap here. Like,
it's crap. There's great power in victimhood, and because you play in Indianapolis and not New York City, you think that matters? Milwaukee won the title a few years ago. Get out of here with that.
Well, I would ask Carlisle this too. Like, if that is actually the case, then why have been waiting since 1973?
That's right.
Like, what are we doing here?
That's not, that bias doesn't exist. You could say that they missed calls and they blew calls. I mean, I don't know if about 29 calls. That's pretty bold to say that there were that. I mean, how many did they submit? Something like
71 calls they submitted between games 1 and 2. And like, who's going through all this in the league office?
I hope that the coach is not involved in that. Like, if you're the coach. But that feels like a distraction now. And for what? What's it going to do? It's not going to change the outcome. It's never happened.
Tonight we have 2 games in the NBA playoffs. Boston favored by 13.5 in Game 2 against Cleveland. We were joined earlier by PJ Glasser. Says, this is the Celtics' caution here, though. Win big one night, not so much the next. Celtics up 1-0 in the series. OKC up 1-0 at home against Dallas. Thunder favored by 5.5. Tomorrow night is Game 3 of Denver, Minnesota. Congratulations to Nikola Jokic, who won his 3rd MVP in 4 years.
Oh, so much outrage. Oh, he didn't deserve it. Shouldn't have been. Okay. Play I like tonight. You could fade or you can follow. I like the Cavs to go under 98.5 points. I'm not necessarily on board with what PJ is saying entirely. I just think the Cavs are going to struggle scoring. And yeah, I like the under at 98.5 for the team total. We'll go with that.
Yeah. With the games being on TNT tonight, I don't think hockey fans have to worry about. Did you see this? How things got switched off against in the Game 3 for the Rangers tonight? It's on TNT tonight, not on ESPN. Rangers and Carolina. Boy, if the Rangers win, they'll be up 3-0. Colorado, Dallas tonight. Game 2. It's the Avs taking the 1-0 series lead in this one.
I like the Avs tonight, and I'm intrigued by the Canes changing goaltenders, putting the rookie in there. You know, if that's a spark, if that's something that, and plus they're at home. Yeah, that series doesn't feel like it's anywhere near over, even though the Rangers are up 2-0.
Ipei Mizuhara, the former interpreter for Shohei Ohtani, pled guilty to federal charges of felony bank fraud and submitting a false tax return. This after authorities found he stole nearly $17 million from Ohtani, this to pay off bad gambling debts to an illegal sports book. Sentencing date has not been set. The total max he could get here for both crimes, 33 years and fines of, big fines. But in exchange for his plea outlined in the agreement, prosecutors would recommend a reduced sentence.
Get yourself a fall guy like Ohtani did, man. This guy, it's too fishy. I don't buy it. I still don't buy it.
Well, hey, could that actually happen? Who are the people, the lawyers, the financial representatives, his accountant? Why aren't they getting investigated too? Who was asleep on this? Nobody said, hey, this.
You can't tell me it's Ohtani. You can't tell me Shohei didn't all of a sudden didn't realize that $17 million was being paid, and it's still fishy. I know he's going to be cleared, or he is cleared, that this guy's taken the fall and he's going to do his time. But I have a hard time with it. I really do. And it'll be fine. He's the face of baseball. He's the biggest star in the game. He's the best player in the game. Nothing is going to come of it as of right now.
Wow, they moved quick on it.
They did.
They moved very quick.
And that kind of tells you, again, really all you need to know. We can't have this as a lingering story. We can't have any sort of long-term investigation. We can't have his name, our golden goose's name being dragged through the mud. So let's move quickly to get this resolved, and this is the resolution. I still think it's fishy.
Finally, the best prospect in Major League Baseball finally has been called up. Paul Skeens getting called up to the Pirates in AAA. Skeens struck out 45 in just 27 innings. He's on only 3 runs so far this year. Skeens will start Saturday when the Pirates play the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Fans at Wrigley might actually want to be on the lookout, Danger.
Oh, here we go.
For Skeens' girlfriend. Do you know this?
I didn't know this, but now it makes sense.
His girlfriend, LSU gymnast and influencer extraordinaire, Livy Dunn.
Yeah.
And Danger, I totally disagree with this move. The AAA team for the Pirates is Indianapolis. Indianapolis comes to Innovative Field last week in June. We need Skeens to bomb. We need him to be sent back to AAA. He needs more seasoning here.
Do you think Livy Dunn is just traveling with him, though? She's got her own hustle going on.
I would think. Well, no, she's going to. Are you kidding me? For her brand to show up at Wrigley on Saturday.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
But not when he's in the minors.
No, he's not. She wouldn't be showing up in Rochester.
Yeah. Livy Dunn showing up at Innovative Field doesn't feel like that would happen. Man, you got to give her credit, because in the world that we are now in, this college athletics world of name, image, and likeness, she's the one.
Yeah, she figured it out. She cracked the code. And I know there's a lot of people saying, that's not the way to do it.
Why?
Well, yeah.
Why is that not the way to do it?
Well, that she's selling herself for something else.
Right. She's attractive.
Yeah.
She's athletic. She's good at what she does. If I'm not mistaken, LSU won the national championship, right?
Right.
So what makes her different than Caitlin Clark or any other female athlete that is at the top of their craft? Are we upset that she does a dance on TikTok every now and then? Good for her, man. Go get it. She's one of the pioneers. When you talk about name, image, and likeness, when we look back in history, I think you'll always remember Livy Dunn is one of the first people to really kind of crack the code and make serious bank by being a collegiate athlete, a college athlete.
As far as this actual pitcher, though, some are saying, Danger, this is the biggest pitching call-up since Strasburg.
Really?
Yeah, that's how long.
The Pirates need it. They're a mess.
Yeah, they started off okay.
They're a mess. Yeah, they're a mess. Pirate fan are beside themselves. So this gives you a little glimpse of what the future might look like. Or if you're a Pirate fan, you're probably thinking, yeah, well, we'll just play them enough to trade them eventually anyways.
2 other notes from the NBA real quick. Suns fire head coach Frank Vogel. Of course, you got to have somebody to blame. And the NBA gave Patrick Beverley a 4-game suspension. That's it.
Ugh.
For an inappropriate interaction with the producer.
Get him out of the league. You don't need him. Get him out. That's bad. Oh, that was for the What about for the throwing the ball at the fan?
Well, that I'm not sure. Police announcing they're opening an investigation into that. So the NBA, so
okay,
get a good lawyer.
Let's set you up for tomorrow afternoon next in the sports bar.
on 3.
It's time for last call at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You can always join us at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326. John in Rochester is our last call today on The Fan. Hey, John.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I don't know if you guys covered this or not. If you did, excuse me. Danny Mendick, the local talent, is back with the Chicago White Sox, and he's playing pretty well. He was with the White Sox a couple of years ago, and I think last year he was with the Mets, and then he got demoted to Syracuse. But I see in the box scores he's playing for the Chi Sox again. Have you heard this?
No. I mean, there's a good reason, and we love Rochester guys, John, but the White Sox are so terrible that haven't looked at anything.
They are terrible.
Yeah, they're
right.
the worst team in the league. So, but
he's having a pretty good year.
On the worst team in the league.
I'll take it. I'll tell you that.
Look, I'm like Ernie Clement has reinvented himself up in Toronto, though. That's the one guy that think it's doing Rochester proud there, John.
I'll tell you, if you had the opportunity, I know you guys would. You had the opportunity to play Major League anything. I'd be the first guy there. I don't care if they're 0-13 or 18, 0-162. Just to make the majors like that is unbelievable.
Yeah. No, I think. Thanks for the call, John. Appreciate you as always. I imagine, and I still believe that hitting a baseball consistently is the hardest thing to do in professional sports. Like we could have the debate of the things, the hardest sports to play and the sports that require the most skill or the most athleticism. But I think hitting a baseball consistently, these guys are freaks. That doesn't.
Are you kidding me? Like being on the ice and having to skate and then get the one-timer. Like, we could have a debate on that.
Yeah, but I think if you gave me 100 chances to hit a major league pitch, I wouldn't come close. Not one. I would not come close.
Anybody that, like, I do the dad thing, right? Like, we'll go when we're on vacation. All right. Okay, I'm going to go in.
Batting
cage, 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's only 80.
Yeah,
no, I can't touch it.
No chance. Great show today. Lots of fun. If you missed Eric Devendorf, if you missed Latavius Murray, if you missed PJ Glasser, we've got it all up on demand for you in the free-to-download Odyssey app, AUDACY. You can search out the Sports Bar wherever you get your podcasts, and you'll find our content there, all of our show posted for you there as well, wherever you get your shows. Tomorrow, we take the show on the road. We will be live from the Blue Cross Arena, your extended pregame for Game 5 between the Amerks and Crunch, the decisive Game 5, Gino.
Yeah, I mean, on the show tomorrow, Paul Hamilton. We have, in no particular order, Paul Hamilton, Dan Dunleavy, Nathan Page, Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks, other guests to stop by here as we're just going to try to push these Amerks over the top tomorrow night. It's going to be a wonderful night in Rochester sports tomorrow night.
Looking forward to it. We'll talk to you then tomorrow, 3 o'clock, JR Sport Brief. Next on The Fan.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the country.